Underdog Daily with the Badge Bros. Well, just one Badge Bro to start here. It's going to be a RotoRun SoloRun to kick things off. Going to walk through the NBA slate. Going to dabble a little bit in the MLB streets there. First getaway day of the season on Wednesday there. So slate fills nice and early for everybody. We'll walk through the results of last night. Shout out to Easy who gets it done yet again in the MLB streets. Very impressive stuff to start the season from our off-season quant there. So mad respect to him. But lots of things going on the platform today. We had some scary news for a half second that turned into exciting news there. Classic April Fools. I hadn't looked at a calendar yet, so almost caught me slipping there. But Underdog's draft account tweeted out something really fun to kick things off here today. Man, new style of draft games. I have no insider knowledge on what's going down here, but it sounds like we got World Cup drafts coming, which is just a great addition. There's going to be so much popularity of that. There were games being played yesterday for the play-in parts of the bracket. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then salary cap drafts. So that to me reads like not like your traditional redacted salary style games. That sounds kind of like almost like auction-y or like spending, draft capital via salary to make the draft slots not as important. Like that sounds like really interesting. So like where this would be most interesting, I think, would be in basketball where, Joker costs you, you get the 101 pick and you could take whoever you want. But if you take Joker, he costs you a third of your salary or something like that. So you got to get creative with the last couple spots. So this is a really cool concept. I don't know much more. I haven't asked much more, but this does sound like really fun. Like ADP value cap. That's how I read it as well. Easy. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. To mess around with, and then some navigational updates, which is, nothing to gloss over there. I just don't know, but what's going on here with the lobby, the active tab, the completed stuff. So any tinkering to the app is always a positive thing, but started off with a scare and turned out pretty good there. Speaking of Easy, just want to give him a shout out here, guys, because he was sharing some of the stuff. You guys can check out the thread here, and he's just sharing some of his concepts and some of the stuff that he's working through that's had success here. But I really wanted to share it because it's something that I've preached for a long time. Is you don't need big time volume in these games to win, as long as you play intelligently. And as you guys can see, this guy's won 2 slates this year. He's got 42 total entries in those 2 slates that he's won here. And I have 200 entries in those iterations, and I'm down, couple 500 or 600 or something like this, right? And it's because he's building better, sharper, smarter teams than I was building. I was very concentrated in my ownership. I was picking my spot of like, hey, I loved Detroit and Arizona last night, and I wasn't diversifying enough outside of just diversifying in that isolated game. I thought I knew the answers to the test. And then he shows up with San Francisco Giants stack that nobody wants with less than fractions of percent ownership. So, yeah, this is very interesting stuff. We'll look at his actual winners there, but just wanted to share that because it's a macro philosophy that I really believe in. And then he had some information below. Also wanted to share, everybody, I shared a screenshot yesterday, tongue-in-cheek, for leading the dinger. It makes no sense. It made no difference is what I meant to say, that I was leading the dinger at that point in time, but it was just funny. But Pat Donovan, a.k.a. BBMDB, a.k.a. Diablo2 on the X machine there, has built out a way for us to sweat the dinger this year. We had sweating dingers last year from our guy Aiden. He's now with Unabated. So he's not doing that anymore. So the heavy lifting is now going to be picked up by BBMDB there. So as you guys can see, we got the dinger leaderboard. There's also portfolio. You can see exposures. You can see the live scoring. It's awesome. It's exactly what you need to sweat alongside the dinger. Okay. If I'm going to do NBA in an hour here, I also want to hit on MLB here. Let me see. Late slate up yet? Let me give it a refresh here and tap in. Might be a little weather on the late slate, but I did hear murmurings and rumors that we could have a pretty big late slate today. Not just yet. Okay, so we'll keep our eyes on that, and maybe we'll tap in for a hot second. Okay, this is a big one right now. J-Cam saying, are we taking Embiid with an out tag? April Fool's got me in a chokehold. I was taking, full disclosure, I was taking Joel Embiid with the out tag 5 times in the 6th round right now. I think it's probably the best pick on the board. There's a lot of undrafted guys right now who could score similarly, but we're talking about centers against the Wizards, and it's Joel Embiid. And he's listed with an illness tag on the NBA injury report and has an out tag beside him. But now he has told people that he is going to play basketball, but he is still listed out on the IR stuff. So the most recent unabated update was Joel Embiid says he plans to play Wednesday. I literally had to check the date to make sure it was, in fact, Wednesday. And then it's still listed out on IR, but behind closed doors, unabated has shifted his status to questionable. And he still has an out tag on our site. It's a binary outcome decision because you're lighting a roster on fire. Like I potentially lit two Joker teams on fire by taking him in the last round. And, he still has to score well. And, we've seen guys play through illnesses and not score, fantastically. But it looks like a can't miss spot. Even if he only plays 3 quarters and only plays 29 minutes, like he should be pick 4 or 5 on the slate, even with those parameters. You can get him for free in the last round right now if your risk tolerance level allows you to. I did it. I'm doing it. It was going to be the first thing out of my mouth to advise you guys to do right now. That being said, it's Joel Embiid, man. Nobody knows what the fuck this guy's ever going to do. His probable tags turn into out tags. His Q tags turn into listed available early in the day. Sometimes he waits all the way until tip. He's so annoying to deal with. But if you're in lobbies right now, my humble opinion is to take Joel Embiid in the last round because there's no better way to get, extreme value. Let's call it that, right? Okay. We'll talk about last night really quickly. I just wanted to lead the show with that stuff. We'll talk about last night really quickly. Then we'll do kind of like a rapid fire of the hoops slate, keep it under an hour here, but I will do a more thorough kind of like game by game kind of setup because we're probably not going to talk much baseball today. And then Moodz is going to join on. Matt Moody is going to join on for the second half, and we're going to try and defend my big Zamboni crown here, or at least get the knowledge to defend the big Zamboni crown, and then just draft the Zamboni. So results from last night. NBA here, we got 20 of them in. Did not make any money with those 20 entries. Shout out to JT McKenzie, friend of the show at the top here, former Dog Bowl qualifier as well. We talked about that Luka Duran pairing, or if you could even get it with Flag, that would have been like the dream setup. Or if you were able to get Ryan Rollins to fall back to the left side of the board. We talked about that combo on the show, and that's precisely what won, man. Getting that Duran plus Luka. Suggs has a monster night and proved to be kind of like a have-to-have-it guy in the 5th and 6th round there. I did not have any Jalen Suggs last night. I guess in hindsight, it kind of made sense. Like Dylan Brooks dealing with like the Paulo stuff. Maybe they defer a bit more to Suggs, that sort of deal. But I did not watch that basketball game last night, so I do not definitively know. The RJ stuff actually aged kind of poorly because all the Raptors ended up playing, but then the game played pretty competitive and played to like a 127 to like 115 something. Don't quote me on it. Somewhere in that vicinity there. And then Drew Holiday, we talked about how Portland could run their rotation so effing tight just because the games mattered so much. That head-to-head mattered so much. And they'd been running tight before that. And they were lacking bodies, right? Except for the big position where we talked about Klingon being impacted by Time Lord being there. The hot Sizzos comes in second. JT McKenzie with a monster scoopage here. Just knew all the best plays. 1, 2, 3 in the top 4. Love to see it. The Woods up here. Our very own Nezzy Takes is up here. RJ Rat's hanging out in the chat somewhere there. Hot Sizzos. And then you see JT McKenzie again. So hell of a night for a hell of a player on the site. Wanted to shout him out there. And speaking of really good players, your boy got 31 in last night. I'm not the really good player yesterday. It is some of the baseball goats at the top here. We talked about Easy off the top there. Talk about his lineup in a half second with a 2% owned Jung Ho Lee. Love to see it. And then Brad right behind him here has 2 in the top 6. Love Brad, and Brad is one of the best on the site. The Fantasy Grinder, Best Ball Alex up here. Esmeranda's up here. So the usual suspects are all up here. But we'll talk about Easy's lineup here. Hunter Brown ends up being the most important player in the pitcher position there. He gets 18 fantasy points. SP1 proves to be SP1. Vlad Guerrero Jr., just enough to get it done with the first round pick there. And then you go ahead and add on a giant stack there. Willie Adames was 56% owned, which I did not see coming. That was a lot higher than I anticipated, but that kind of just makes sense given the fact that Devers and Chapman were drafted almost every time. You pivot the Devers ownership to then be the Jung Ho Lee ownership. And then we talked about left-handed Detroit. You guys will see in my exposures how much I truly loved left-handed Detroit last night. Beautiful lineup from Easy. Tap into Brad's here. Very similar lineup there, but he puts Yordan with it, and then he goes with the Harrison Bader route. Same thesis, different archetype of player instead of Jung Ho Lee. So beautifully constructed lineup from him as well. My highest one was, you're going to see a lot of this, but I did the Houston stuff with the 1% owned Cam Smith. Shout out to me. Go ahead and put that Houston stuff together. And then I just fell into that chalk Arizona stuff that I continued to do. JT McKenzie, there's our GOAT. He's always quiet in the chat, but I know he's there. I know he's lurking. I know the best players on the site are always hanging out, always talking shop with the people. I know he wouldn't miss it. Mad respect, man. Thank you for the 10 Badge Bros memberships. Too kind, my friend. Keep that train rolling. Only got in the base hit there. Shout out to Cam Hurst, who's been a long-time member of the show as well. He chops it up at the top here with Trey. And similar, man, San Francisco Giants, 3-man there, but he does it of the more chalky variety with Devers mixed in. My ownerships, I'm not going to be overly proud of these guys because this is something I don't typically do. Do as I preach, not as I do with the baseball stuff, because baseball is such a highly volatile sport, right? It's just too much concentration of ownership and thinking that I knew the right answers to the test. You know, I saw the roof open in that Detroit and Arizona game. I saw 2 former really good prospects, but guys who get hit hard. And I just went all in on it with the left-handed bats and then did wraparound stacks with Lawler because I thought it would be under-owned relative to Perdomo because everybody liked the Perdomo stuff. But I thought I knew the right answers to the test. I obviously did not. It's not the right way to play baseball. But do as I say, not as I do in these isolated instances. Because if you look at Easy's profiles where he won those 20s and 20s, I can only imagine that like he didn't have like 50% of a player in those spots, you know, maybe 50% of a pitcher if he thought Hunter Brown was that good. But yeah, anyways, a lot of words on last night. Shout out to JT McKenzie and the rest of the community there. Appreciate the subs, my friend. Let's push into today's slate, man. We got 9 games of basketball. We're going to have a 2-game late slate of MLB. And then we are going to talk about the Zamboni with our resident NHL expert, Matt Moody. There. So first things first was the Joel Embiid conversation. Embiid was Q tag, out tag. He was a first round pick, and now he is available in the last round if you want to take the swing on it based on this illness stuff. The other stuff that's going down, I'm going to give this a refresh just to make sure, is we did not have the Knicks injury report and we did not have the Bucks injury report because of back-to-backs. So on this 9-game slate, we have 5 teams on the back end back-to-back. We have the Knicks, we have Orlando, we have Milwaukee and Houston who are playing each other, and then we have the Raptors. We now have all 5 of those injury reports, which means we have everybody's injury report for the slate, and the only big looming thing is this Embiid situation. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it a fugazi, wazi, woozy kind of thing, right? So those are the 5 on the back end. The front end back-to-backs, there's a 6-game slate tomorrow. We have the Warriors on the front end, and we have the Spurs on the front end. Spurs play the Clippers tomorrow. Warriors host the Cavaliers on that West Coast swing tomorrow. Those 2 teams are playing each other tonight. Nationally televised games this evening. Boston at Miami is the first, and then that aforementioned Warriors game, Spurs at Warriors, is the second there. If you don't think Wemby is thinking, how do I get myself in the MVP race, national TV, let's get it right here. I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you if that is not what you were thinking. All right. If Embiid is upgraded to Q, would a swap then be an option if he does in fact not go? Yes. So he needs to be upgraded on our site to a doubtful tag or a Q to become swap viable. Currently, he is not swap viable. So you're taking a binary risk where it's like you're just taking 0 or Embiid if you take him in the last round right now. Yeah. So let's do kind of like a hodgepodge of injury report / totals, and then we'll look at the plays that we like and that were kind of popping out for us. So first game up is this Wizards and Sixers game. Wizards coming back home after they had that road trip there. They're just mixing and matching the G Leaguers. They're mixing and matching the 10 days. As of right now, the usual suspects are listed out with that being Trae Young, Anthony Davis, and D'Lo. And then Alex Sarr is out in this one, but so is Julian Reese. Who's on that two-way contract. Trey Johnson listed available in this one. Leaky Black has a Q tag, who's also on that two-way stuff. Bilal Coulibaly is going to play basketball tonight. On the Sixers side, the only thing to worry about is Joel Embiid. But as you guys can see, we're dealing with a monster total here at 238.5 and 14.5 to the Sixers there. Man, these spreads out here, like we're doing Rockets and Bucks. Rockets as 18-point favorites after the Bucks just ruled everybody out on the second night of a back-to-back. Nuggets as 17-point favorites with a monster total. Spurs as 14-point favorites with a middling total. This slop it up fest of the night here with Pacers and Bulls, 247.5, which is like the third highest or second highest total on the slate, and only 4 by way of the Bulls and a big looming Q tag, which was a midday downgrade for Josh Giddey that sees, maybe a point, maybe half a point move ever so slightly with that Giddey news there. Also macro stuff. Hawks and Magic, like this is just a monster game for playoff implications right now. Like the Sixers have to keep climbing, but they should be able to take care of business without Embiid in this spot. Miami wants to get out of that play-in kind of like back end of the Eastern Conference. There was a podcast yesterday from the ETR guys. I haven't watched it yet, but they were just talking about, I know they were talking about the bottom end of the Eastern Conference there. So yeah, a lot of fluidity for our dance contests and a lot of fluidity for like impactful games going forward here. And the Heat are part of that equation. The Hawks are part of that equation. The Magic are part of that equation. The Raptors are part of that equation where they need to win tonight there. So eyes on that kind of like bottom part of the Eastern Conference standings for the rest of the season here of like where impactful, tighter rotations and stuff are going to come from, right? I'll keep glossing through the injury report here. Magic had an interesting one here where Franz Wagner gets the Q tag. They're very forthcoming with their report. They do the staggered thing. So maybe this is an indication that he is going to be available the following game and not this evening, but he would just cut in from a usage standpoint. He's not going to play full right off the rip. They talked about the Germany thing when he came back, that he played too much too soon. So, if we're looking at Franz today, it's not to play him. It's just for the impact in which he's going to have on other people on his team when he's out there, right? Because he's a high usage player when he chooses to be, even if it's just for 20 minutes. No Anthony Black, no John Isaac still there. On the Celtics stuff, we just have the G Leaguers listed questionable. Still no Vucevic and no, that's it. And then Ron Harper Jr. has been listed available in that one. The Heat have no Norm Powell this evening, so that'll be interesting. Also, Andrew Wiggins has a probable tag. So, Hero might look a little bit better. Bam might look ever so slightly better. Pelly Larson had a monster game the other night. He's going to be available for this one. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has had back-to-back 30 fantasy point outings. So, maybe a bridge too far, maybe 6th round viable for us. Next game up, we'll talk about that. Oh, let me get the most recent injury report because the Knicks have filed because we just got a Jalen Brunson Q tag, which means he's going to be falling ever so slightly in rooms here. But we got the Mitchell Robinson and Miles McBride out tags. So that impacts like secondary handling stuff. And then also with the Mitchell Robinson stuff, that really boosts the stock of Cat. Makes me like Cat a lot more. Landry Shamit's been listed available to play for them there. Memphis, man, we could probably just stay clear of Memphis tonight. Maybe they're tight enough to matter. They signed another new guy to a 10-day contract today. I can't even remember his name, but he's another smaller guy. But yeah, they got a doubtful tag on Taylor Hendricks. J.My Meshack has been listed available here. Jalen Wells is done for the year. Same with Scottie Pippen Jr., same with John Morant, same with Edie Clark, Santi Aldama, etc. This team remains to be really small in the front court, and it's going to make Cat pop in a big way. I don't know. Maybe if you wanted to go to like one Grizz player today, it would have to be someone in the front court who we think is going to match minutes with Cat. I don't know, man. I'm not comfortable in playing like Gigi Jackson's minutes have been way down. Cedric Coward's minutes have been under 25. I mean, maybe Prosper. Like maybe he's the guy who could touch 30 and they have to match size because they have very little size on this team, especially if Taylor Hendricks and Taj Gibson don't go. So I don't know, but it's probably just a complete stay away here. A middling total, huge favorites on the Knicks side there. I think more this is about bringing auxiliary Knicks into our lives here as like secondary options for us. Pacers and Bulls here. This is a really high total there with that 247.5. It's the second highest on the slate, but this nice tight spread of 4. Man, Trey Jones has been playing some really good basketball. I took him a couple times in the last round in some of those non-Embiid drafts. Also, who is going to do the handling for the Pacers today? Because we obviously have no Hallie, we got no TJ McConnell, we got no Aaron Naismith, we got no Andrew Nembhard. We got probable tags on Pascal Siakam and Obi Toppin here. Jarris Walker's out, Zubac is out. Like, where is the handling going to come from this? Is it going to be like a Cam Jones night? Is it going to be a Quentin Jackson night? Is it going to be, we're going to have to do some deep dive investigatory journalism here for the Pacers because everyone is going to be drafting Pascal Siakam and rightfully so. But like, this is a huge total with a ton of minutes available if they're going to run tighter than we're accustomed to doing in recent memory. So like, man, we're going to want to get to some of this. Like Obi Toppin probably still has a cap on him. Quentin Jackson is just a guy they never fully stretch out. You could play the centers, but the centers are going to be like a 2.5 man rotation with like Huff and Micah Potter and like that sort of thing. Man, one of these guys between Cam Jones, Ethan Thompson, like they could really matter tonight as a scroll the F down if it's not Pascal Siakam night, just given the total, given the spread, given that they're both kind of tanking this game, but not really tanking. Like Ethan Thompson really intrigues me tonight. He was like, he's a big time scorer in the G League. So that could be fun. Kobe Brown fits that mold as well. Good shout from J Cam there. But little less on the handling stuff with Kobe Brown. Like they've been using him a little bit more like 3-4, but yeah. Bulls side, obviously that Giddey Q tag looms large. They continue to do this Q tag thing with both the bigs. So Yabusele and Nick Richards both have the Q tags there, and then they both wind up playing through them, but they continue to get listed here. Anthony Simons is out in this one. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm taking Giddey in the third round when he falls there, but like midday Q tags are never good. It's also not like an illness tag or something like that. It's a hamstring tag. So I didn't see anything with him. But I think this is low key, like a little bit of a tank off versus one another. And, maybe we just don't have to run Giddy tonight. I mean, Giddy took 5 shots last game. I mean, sidebar. Giddy took 5 shots last game. I don't know. But yeah, that'll make Trey Jones look really nice. It'll make Buzelis look better. And then, dude, Colin Sexton, man, like he continues to be a bucket. I'd have a little late round Colin Sexton today here. So I don't know, man. I think you can find some really interesting plays that not enough of the field is getting to in this game, especially if Giddy doesn't go. And then especially if Pascal is going to be the only guy drafted from the Pacers side. Pacers. There's a path to the Pacers only having 10 tonight. Anyways, I digress on the slop it up fest of the night there. Rockets, monster favorites here. Second night of the back-to-back. KD had a nice one last night. Second night of the back-to-back for the Bucks there. Ryan Rollins had a pretty good game, only to be almost matched by Kyle Kuzma in the last round there. Miles Turner had a pretty solid game. So they ran kind of like the vet guys yesterday. I will take a look here at the time machine for you guys just to see what's up from Add More Funds. You guys can see 35 minutes from Ryan Rollins, but no designation for him. So he has a pretty palatable ADP right now. Gary Trent Jr. probably have a better role today, and Ousmane Dieng will probably have a better role today. I mean, not that this was a bad role by any stretch, but it means he'll probably start today because we're going to take out Miles Turner and Kyle Kuzma here. I will get the rest of that injury report to confirm. Neither Kevin Porter Jr., Bobby Portis, Teron Prince, Miles Turner, Gary Harris, Kyle Kuzma. I think I already said Kuzma. So, like, you're taking Prince played minutes yesterday. Alex played blowout time, Giannis's brother. So you take these two out. You take out Kuzma's 23 minutes. You take out Gary Harris did not play at all. Yeah, I don't know, man. They're going to have like 9 today. And I think there's very palatable, viable last round picks that are not getting picked right now in like Ousmane Dieng. Maybe Jericho Sims is a bridge too far, but he plays a lot. Gary Trent Jr. is definitely viable in the last round today. So I think Dieng would be my favorite of that grouping. Let's actually look at the Bucks real quick because Ryan Rollins is going. Yeah, man. Get some Dieng going on here. Get a Trent share or two. Get a Jericho Sims share or two. Yeah. Okay. Jump back over here. Rockets side of things. We saw Tari Eason go back to the starting lineup. We talked about that yesterday. Why I didn't like Reed Shepherd and that sort of thing. We thought Tari Eason was going to go back to the starting lineup. He in fact did. Tari Eason didn't miss a shot in the first half, so that was kind of bullish for him. I'm never a proponent of like jamming like tired older legs on the second night of a back-to-back with like KD, especially when he carried the mail last night. So I'll probably be a little bit lighter on KD today. I think Alfred Şengün's ADP is a little high for me. Like we could just see a path to him only playing like 28 minutes tonight. This could be a Reed Shepherd spot. I'm not going to lie, where it's just like, he runs a little bit longer off the bench kind of stuff after we look at what like the minutes for last night for Houston were like. They take care of the Knicks last night. Here, we'll show you. They do not have to play that last little stint of garbage, but they run hella tight and they run like all their stars 30, basically, right? Şengün with the 29 being the lowest of the bunch. I have to imagine those 5 fouls came into play with that. But yeah, obviously going to be a good spot to play all these guys because there's no tough matchups on the other side. But this game could be over at half, and then it's like, who are we playing? Well, some combination of all these bench guys are going to get mix and match minutes, which makes me kind of like Reed Shepherd, man. Reed Shepherd with just kind of like the youthful legs on the second night of the back-to-back, who just loves to get his shots up. I'm good with it, man. Yeah. I'm just thinking if there's anything else I want to say on that one. No. No, I think we're good. All right. Big Jaden Ivey game. Jaden Ivey's not in the player pool. Jaden Ivey's not in the player pool for the Bulls stuff. And I think he's like done. He's done for the year. But we got to go Trey Jones stuff today, I think. Okay. Let's go Kings and Raptors here. I saw the guys in the chat talking about DeMar DeRozan revenge game here. Just take a look at the injury reports for the Raptors because it's kind of loaded on the back end back-to-back here. Scotty catches a Q tag here. It's a left shoulder contusion Q tag. BI played last night, listed out. IQ did not play last night, listed out. RJ doesn't have a designation. Colin Murray-Boyles played last night and played very well, and he does not have a designation. So the 5 rotation is going to be pretty big here, like just because they're going to have a lot of bodies. You might see some good overlap minutes for Colin Murray-Boyles, especially if Scotty can't go. I would be treating Scotty as in, like, these games are really important for the Raptors right now to like stay out of that like play in and stay adjacent to like the Hawks. So I would imagine Scotty plays second night of a back-to-back here, and the Q tag is just like cautionary. I didn't see anything from last night, but maybe we got to listen to the ETR guys to find out for sure there. But yeah, I'm treating Scotty as in. I like the RJ price tag. And then, you know, if you want to get a little crazy with it in the last round, I probably wouldn't go the Jamal Sheed route. But if you want to get a little crazy in the last round, I could see some Colin Murray-Boyles stuff, man. The performance last night was pretty good. He could see big minutes here. He only played 23 last night and got a double-double against Detroit. Like, I just think he's good, man. So, yeah, Jakob Poeltl just continues to flirt with 25 minutes. Sandro's a rates monster, but only plays 20. You know, Jamal Sheed could play, I don't know, Jamal Sheed could play like 30 tonight, but it's like not crazy. I don't know. I like the idea of getting like buying the dip on Scotty, getting a little overweight on RJ, and then I like Colin Murray-Boyles in the last round. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. You know, they continue to start Kobe Walter, but he just doesn't do a ton from a fantasy standpoint. Grady Dick played 4 minutes last night, but then when they had like a similar roster set up a couple days ago, like we just got Garrett Temple ruled out too. Not that he really plays, but he plays like garbage time, like 3 minutes kind of thing. Like I don't know, man. This they keep ruling guys out, but like they still have like bodies where like the minutes can go around. So it's kind of like, I think if I'm thinking about it, I think it's just Scotty, RJ, and CMB for me tonight. I mean, if you wanted to flirt with like Poeltl or Sandro, be my guest. But like, I don't know. I like the idea of CMB. Just younger legs, second night, back to back. I know he had injury designations more recently, but yeah, it feels okay. The Kings side of stuff there, we're always monitoring how many bodies the Kings are going to have. They do not have PB&J right there. Patrick Baldwin Jr., who we have played at times this year. They do not have Daquan Jeffries, who's another guy that they have played at times. And then they do not have all the usual suspects. So Sabonis, Westbrook, Hunter, Levine, Keegan Murray. They're missing all of those guys. So I can understand why people want to play the DeMar DeRozan angle here tonight. We saw Nick Clifford return to the starting lineup. I think there's some tough decisions to be made here on like who we think's going to start between Devin Carter and Malik Monk. Yeah, there's some really good information out there, and I kind of steal it from the ETR guys. But like the Monk correlation with Maxime Renault is like really important. Just like from like the way they run their offense is like so much better when like Monk or Carter, but in particular Monk is on the floor with Maxime Renault. I don't know. All these guys are kind of underdrafted right now because they only have 10 tonight. I count 10 unless they shift the status of somebody. But Yeah, I think this is like super playable at low ADPs here. So like Maxime Renault's totally fine. It's not the best matchup in the world for him, but 30 minutes of Renault is fine. DeMar DeRozan revenge game, when he has the ball in his hand and he looks like he wants to get his, like he did in this Orlando matchup, he can break a slate. In other matchups like this Hornets one, he just looks invisible and he just defers. That was also a game that Malik Monk started, so he was deferring handling like way more. You know, Precious minutes are always strong, but his fantasy production is kind of tethered to one of these other guys going off. I think there's a lot to play here. You know, Toronto doesn't double team ball handlers. They're good in transition defense, but this is a very different Toronto team right now. Colin Murray-Boyles is a really good defender, but you're missing like some bodies here. I don't know, man. I like getting to the Kings tonight. And, you know, we're dealing with a bunch of spreads that are like 18, 19, 17, 14. And this one's only 10, right? So like that kind of stands out to me to like some of these scrolls. It's also Precious Achiuwa revenge game, if we care about that narrative. Neat Clifford, you know, played 37. So maybe his minutes could be, you know, stronger than a lot of these other guys. They like to run the young guys. So Neat Clifford definitely in play tonight. I probably wouldn't go beyond that. Whichever guard starts is probably my favorite. I think it'll probably be Carter. But man, just doing like one of these guys, one of these 6 in the last round seems like pretty good today. I'm not gonna lie. I think DeRozan would be my favorite. I think Renault would be next. Yeah, and then it would be one of the guards. And then you could sprinkle a Neek share or 2 in there. Jazz and Nuggets, you know, we talk about the Jazz all the time here in like how many bodies do they have? How many bodies? Because that'll be like we can play someone. I'm counting like if Kev Love plays and if Svi plays, man, they might play 9 tonight. So I like the Jazz. I like the Jazz more than the field does right now. They re-signed Kennedy Chandler. He could play 30. You know, Filipowski's getting drafted because of what he did last time out and did it in limited minutes. I'm totally fine with Filipowski. He's a good rates guy. He could get in foul trouble against Joker in the blink of an eye, though. We've talked about how he is from foul standpoint. Man, what's going where is it? Am I blind? There we go. You can't even find him if you look up Utah. Kennedy Chandler re-signed. He's going to start at the 1, man. He's going to play starting unit. He's going to play garbage unit. He played 40 minutes the last time he played basketball. Signs another 10-day, 2 days or 2 hours ago. I don't know, man. Nobody's drafting Kennedy Chandler other than me. And I'm going to keep drafting a little bit of Kennedy Chandler tonight. I think he's just got such a clean path to minutes. I think Ace Bailey, like they're kind of doing these 34s and 35s in games that they can afford to do so. Yeah. If I'm picking from this group, like give me a little bit of Bryce Sensible. Give me a little bit of Kennedy. Give me a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'll mix and match Flip and Ace Bailey. But if they're getting drafted at 100% of the time, I'll be the guy who takes a last round, you know, Bryce Sensible, Cody Williams, or Kennedy Chandler, you know? All right, Kennedy Chandler went in a draft I did today, so people are on it. All right. Rocket Sauce saying I'm not alone. All right. I respect it. Love it. What's up to the Cheese? The Cheese is back in Boston, and we'll be back in the groove today. Love to hear it. Or in tomorrow. Tomorrow. All right. Love to see it, buddy. Love to see it. Get back in these draft streets. Yeah, the Denver side of stuff. We have a probable tag on Aaron Gordon. We have out tags on Zeke Najee and Spencer Jones. I'm probably just playing the big 2. If you wanted to sprinkle Aaron Gordon in the last round, absolutely, it's fine. He's the first guy to have his minutes cut in like a blowout situation, though. You know, Yeah, I'm not playing anything else here. If you wanted to play like blowout narrative and pair someone with Joker that's going to get the blowout run, Julian Strother would probably be that guy, but I just don't see why you would do that or have to do that on a 9-gamer when we have so many free plays in the last round right now with the Pacers stuff, with some of these other guys, with the Bulls stuff, with the Utah side of things. We're looking for condensing of rotations, not like fringe, hope we get this guy in kind of spots, right? And then last game on the slate is Spurs and Warriors there. I don't know, man. I think Pods' ADP is, I guess, fine. Just because like the Warriors are missing Melton, Moody, Curry, who might be back this weekend. They're aiming for Sunday, so keep your Windhurst up for that. You have a Q tag on Gary Payton the second. You have a Q tag on Guy Santos. They're front end of a back-to-back. They're missing Zinger. They're missing Post. So like they're missing bodies. So I could see the appeal of being like, yeah, I really want to play Zinger tonight. But like, man, this just doesn't look like the spot, man. Did I say Zinger? I meant to say I meant to say Pods, not Zinger. I'm mixing up my Porzingis and my Podzemskis. I get why people want to play Pods. It's just like he doesn't fill it up. He's a bad rates guy. There's a really good defense on the other side. Like, can he give you these 35 minutes and like a 40-point in here? Yeah, but like so can Colin Sexton, who nobody's drafting in the last round, who might play 30 or something in a way softer matchup with a way higher total. So can Trey Jones. 40, 46. Like these bets are not as stark as the ownership gap. So like if everyone's going to draft Pods at 100% frequency today, fuck that, man. Fuck that. Someone else have it. Someone else can have it. You know, I'm good. Yeah. Other side of things there with the Spurs. Spurs kind of locked in right now, but they'll continue to push a little bit here for that like Fugazi 1 seed kind of stuff. But Luke Cornett is out, so some of those backup 5 minutes might go away. I'm all about this Wemby narrative of him trying to go for MVP on national TV. Blah blah blah. Fastest double-double in NBA history last time out against the Bulls there. I don't know what to say other than like it's Wemby, draft Wemby. It's Joker at 1, it's Wemby at 2. Like just go for it. If you want to play some auxiliary Spurs, I think you stop at Vassell. Vassell's knocking threes. It's good clean fun out there for him. But it's probably a bridge too far tonight. So it's probably just staying tethered to the Castle and Fox stuff. And I'm usually always team Castle over team Fox. But if we are going to get Castle at 100% owned and we're going to get Fox at a little bit of a discount in the last round, I'll sprinkle a little bit of Fox because those two always project, you know, pretty close to one another, right? All right, let's do it. Let's rip a couple drafts here. Let's get into the streets. We could talk about some more of the plays and more of the rankings as we go. This will be my first look at projections. I did 5 of these this morning. I have not looked at the projections. I did the first 5 mobile this morning. Shout out to JCam, to WizK, to NBA Top Shot, TST, NBA TST. Had a great time with him in Good Canadian Kid out there at the Dog Bowl. He had a really good sweat coming down the stretch. Finished with like a top 5 or top 6 finish. Pink funds. Some more injury report stuff. Garrett Temple is now questionable, so he got ruled out and now he's questionable. So that might just be an indication of how thin the Raptors are for bodies, that they just need to upgrade him to stay active. So we might be on G League tracker watch with the did I say the Grizzlies? With the Raptors tonight. My mind is all over the place. When I do a show by myself. Yeah. But Fox sucks. Yeah. I mean, counterpoint, Fox sucks. All right. I respect it. Ooh, we got a Bryce Terang by you. Is that what we're working with? I did not get up in time to play any. Man, I'm you guys can hear it in my voice. I am burning the candle at both ends right now. I'm not gonna lie. With just doing all the prep for these drafts, doing as many drafts as I possibly could, and then just playing hockey every single night right now. I think Jalen Johnson is an end of a tier. The projections agree with me. Like, this is a 52 projection in a really important game. It's not the most pace up, highest total or anything like that, but like, it's just an important game for all involved. And yeah, I like to play into those at times. Tons of bodies available on both sides. The Magic being like a little bit thinner of the two, but I think there's probably 5 draftable Hawks today. If you want to be safe, you could cap it at 4. Keep an eye on Jacques Lindell. That was one in the injury report I did not mention. Shame on me. But just like, he missed last game with the illness tag, and he has a questionable tag with the illness today. So he missed last time out. Hopefully he gets better and he's good to go tonight. But yeah, if there's no Jacques Lindell, Onyeka Okongwu looks way better, and he's free in the last round right now. Giddy midday downgrade kind of scares me. Jamal Murray's projection is probably pushed down a little bit because of the minutes. People are scared that, or projection making is, going, hey man, he's maybe going to play 32 instead of his normal 36 against Utah because of the spread. I don't think anybody on Boston, I know it's pace up against Miami. I don't really think anyone on Boston is playable outside of Tatum and Brown today. Pascal Siakam has a slight projection edge. The solvers telling us that that's a good play. I kind of like Jason Tatum here. He's coming off of a game that he had a night off. It's just, man, Tatum's been playing some good basketball. The jumper's coming back. Tatum is a guy that we're renowned for taking over JV and taking in the first round over and over again for years. I think we're slowly returning to that status, There you go. The boost on Karl Anthony Towns. Now that we have the Brunson Q tag and Mitch Robb officially ruled out, Towns was falling to like 15, 16 ish earlier. All right. If you could be reincarnated as any past professional sports player and live their life, who would it be? I think I'd take something that like was completely different than I've ever experienced. So I would take something that was like not one of my favorite sports. I would take something that was like race car driver, like NASCAR or F1 or something like that, who was also like a character. And I would focus more on like the off the field stuff, off the course stuff, off the track stuff. Let's go ahead and take Paul George. If Embiid does not play, he'll project like right here. So this will not be an Embiid team for us. We've kind of made that decision. Not that you can't put Paul George and Embiid together, but yeah, Derek Jeter for the roster. I respect that take. Mickey Mantle, probably not Mickey Mantle for me. I don't know. Like, I would pick like, someone who like partied it up like real good too. Like, like Lawrence Taylor or something like that, or like Broadway Joe, like Joe Namath. Like, he was like a booze hound. He was a partier. And then he was also like the best quarterback in the world. Like, I would pick like someone who had it like both ways, like on and off the court kind of thing. Now we get into this tier of you can do whatever the fuck you want. I think we just take Jalen Brunson and worry about a swap later, though. Like, Jalen Brunson in the 4th round will win you a slate. And now we could scroll the F down for the last 2 picks here. Ryan Rollins getting a little bit of a boost going at 20 there. Yeah, Mickey had the roster first, but like Mickey had the roster in an era where the rosters did not look like the rosters do today. Let's be real. Let's be real about how the rosters have improved over the years. Those rosters were not going to the gym. Yeah, I think something like F1 driver would be like really cool. Like Schumacher or like Lewis Hamilton. Like something like that would be like really sick. Being like the best soccer player in the world, like being like Ronaldo or like David Beckham. Like that shit would be crazy. John Daly, that's a good one. John Daly was like effortless talent, but he was never like the best of the best. We're gonna go double scrolling here. We'll take Kennedy Chandler, whose projection is wild. Okay. Maybe if his projection is like that big, maybe we want to be hedging a little bit. But yeah, man, like 38 minutes is in the bag tonight. Bryce Sensabaugh feels like a fine pick. Just kind of skipping this next tier and going double scroll feels good, man. I mean, we can start going triple scroll. We'll do one more draft here and we will triple scroll it. And then hopefully Moodz will be available for us then. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of undrafted guys right now. Just like a 9-game slate with some silly season. I mean, I like that Trey Jones pick. We could talk about the Pacers. Like we could try and guess who's starting at the 1 for the Pacers. Like Ethan Thompson is really interesting if he starts today. The Solver's telling us Bryce Sensabaugh, so that's pretty cool. Just to know that they're in on that pick. I like the DeMar DeRozan idea. Yeah. I mean, they've been playing him like 30, 30 plus. He plays 38 in the Orlando game. Let's take DeMar. We talked about liking DeMar as a scroll. Fox is viable. Sensabaugh is viable. Precious is viable. I would not play Franz. He's on a limit for sure. Ousmane Dieng's viable. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is viable. Like just nothing but 30 burgers. 28, I guess. With no Norm Powell. Probably staying clear of Memphis. Reed Shepherd. Nobody's going to draft Reed Shepherd. That's kind of like a little bit of a garbage time play there. Ooh, Frank's got to take 86 Ments. Just be on those uppers and downers, those greenies. Like, I'm not a drug guy, so, like, I've never really experienced that. Like, I'm not, like, a huge, like, party guy. Like, I definitely have, like, my nights out and, like, having beers and stuff, but I'm not, like, a huge party guy. So I think, like, the guys that I'm mentally gravitating towards right now are the guys that were so good at their sport that they lived like double lives, the guys that were like so effing talented that they could just be like super partiers off the field and then be amazing on it. So like, I just want to see what that's like. I'm not sure this is the best way to answer the question, but just experiencing something that I've never experienced is kind of like, my thought process. Oh, all right. We roll the 105 in this one. Shout out to the Miso. Shout out to Chris. We got Vinny G in here. We got Trey in here. And we got Dak for MVP, not me. I think there's a big 4 today, guys. I think there's a big 4. And then I think it's kind of like end of an era after Jalen Johnson goes. I'm not sure who the best flip the board candidate on the right-hand side is, though. I mean, Giddey plus Siakam would be a really fun pairing. Here, I got to flip the board candidate. What if Jason Tatum just outscores Jaylen Brown? Let's flip the board where we play. Everyone's playing Tatum at 5 or JB at 5. We play Tatum at 5, and then we just pair him up in the same way that everybody else plays JB, but we just took him in the first round. Not in love with Paulo. I think Bam's fine. Sengun doesn't jump out. Giddy, I'm really scared of with the midday downgrade. Let's play the Pascal Siakam just goes nuke in 30 minutes against a lowly, undersized Chicago team. Let's get scrolling. I do think it's a day that's going to be really hard to compete with the Joker, the Wemby, Maxey, maybe just Joker and Wemby tier today. I mean, you would really need floor game Denver to compete today with the Joker teams. Like, you would need them to blow the brakes off in the first round and then go from there. All right. Let me get some of my stuff ready for the big puck segment people are waiting on. I have been a little more out of touch with the NHL than I'd care to admit, just because of how much baseball and basketball we've been covering this year. But yeah. Yes, JCam. I love that you caught my drift of where this draft was going. Absolutely where this draft is going. All right. Goazy Cards is bringing the heat today. He's bringing all the life questions. Where would you like to see the next Dog Bowl hosted? I would love to see something for foot. So the next one's going to be presumably football. Let's say there's no baseball Dog Bowl. There's yet to be a baseball Dog Bowl. I love how bullish the prize pools have been for baseball, but baseball's, even in the summer, baseball's not king of the summer because people are drafting NFL basketball, right? So let's pause that thought for a half second here. Let's take Tyler Hero opposite the Tatum stuff in that game. No Norm Powell today. Let's just say he's a walking bucket and fills it up. And then let's start flipping the board all over the place. Then we start flipping. I want football city that is net neutral in terms of weather in December, which is kind of hard to find, but also allows us to go to the ball game at a reasonable price point so we can do what we were going to do, or what we did do with the Lakers game, but we do it for football. All right, this feels bad, but we're going to pull up Ryan Rollins over PG. We're going to take him there, and then we are going to scroll twice. When puck, now puck. Puck in 2 minutes. I can see my guy Moodz just joining to get ready right here. Yeah, Buffalo in December. That's where we want to go. Nailed it. Yeah, somewhere we could golf. I mean, like, golf will never be, unless it's a golf dog bowl, golf will never be included unless we do like a side event. So who knows? Maybe we could get Clay out there and we could organize a little golf event in tandem with the dog bowl if we were in like Arizona, for instance. So like Arizona would be cool because the weather's probably decent enough to play. I mean, it's not hot, but it's like decent enough to play in December. And you're not going to get anything rained out or anything weird. And the ball game is probably cheap enough that we can. Oh, perfect, guys. Thank you. The ball game is probably perfect enough, or price point wise, that we could get a box to make it worthwhile, right? All right, we got the Ryan Rollins Q tag downgrade. Vegas is good, but Vegas is expensive, and you can't draft Underdog in Vegas. So that's a huge no-no. We need to be able to draft Underdog. All right. So Gary Trent and Usman Dang just became very palatable scrolls and swap options. Got into my head, I pick Usman out of those two, but they're both fine. Usman Dang goes to Chris at 25 there because he's all over it. Love to see it. All right, we're going to take the guy that we told everyone we were going to do this. Maybe it's unnecessary risk on a slate like this. You do not get the swap option, but Embiid told everyone he was going to play basketball today. If Embiid plays against the Wizards in the last round, I mean, have at it. I guess we just take we could take a Chicago piece and like game stack the Siakam stuff. So I think Trey Jones is in play here. I think Gary Trent is in play here. Who else can we do? We talked about DeRozan. We talked about Fox. Ace Bailey is totally good here. Sensible is good. Kennedy Chandler is good. Reed Shepherd's good. Let's take Kennedy again. I'm obsessed with this 10-day, dude. Let's get it. All right, there's our final team. Tatum, Siakam, Hero, Ryan Rollins, who just got downgraded to a Q tag, which is never good, but they did rule out half the team already. They might only have 8 or 9 bodies tonight, and that would mean Usman Dang looks like an absolute smash. Reminder that he did foul out recently when he looked like an absolute smash, so just be mindful. The Joel Embiid play we've talked about ad nauseum. I think it's probably worth it, but as these back-end value plays open up and become better and better, Embiid becomes worse and worse, right? So that's the push-pull. And then Kennedy Chandler just underpriced. All right, I've left my guy Moodz behind the curtain for too long. Our resident puck guy expert, let's bring him in here. Matt Moody, what is good, my friend?
Just a big Kennedy Chandler fan here. Definitely know who that is. For sure.
I'm trying to think of a puck guy comp for it. It would be like the equivalent of knowing who Pew Suter was 3 years ago.
Okay, sure.
You know, where it was just like he's a nobody who's on an entry level who, you know, maybe something can happen tonight in a good spot.
I love the Peyton Krebs comp. That feels, I'm just not knowing. Given what you just said, I think Peyton Krebs seems like a good one.
Yeah.
I was digging through the archives when you DM'd me, and when I joined for the Best Puck Classic in September, I was shocked that Paolo Banchero was a top round pick because I knew he was someone, but I had no idea he was like a good someone. And then like a couple months ago, I think I won the DK boost, the redacted boost, the King of the Court, and Banchero won it that night, and it was like $100 bonus bet that I'm sure I blew on something stupid, but I thought of you when that happened. So
that's so good, man. I love that life comes full circle like that, man. It's all just a big sim.
That's right. Speaking of the Sims, I mean, hot off the presses, I was working all night pretty much, getting my 2025 Sims in order based on last year's Zamboni contest. So I am proud to say that I am the owner of a set of Sims for this year that have never been shared, not shared on my newsletter yet, barely even shared it in the Discord. Like literally within the last hour, I got everything to run and all my charts created. So I'm feeling prepared, even though I've yet to open up Zamboni ADPs, because that's the part that I don't think anyone cares about.
That's awesome, man. I love that. Okay, love to hear it here. Is it up in the manifesto stuff yet? Can I pull it up?
No. So I ran the stuff from last year's manifesto. If you don't know, moodz.beehive.com. I posted.
Yeah, here I'll share it with everybody. Don't worry. I'll do the grinding for you. This is last year's best puck manifesto there from the Moodz Beehive there, and I'll share your X machine as well. But you gloss, man. Tell me.
So basically, take these with a grain of salt. I'm not a professional coder. Making the sims was really hard. I had to limit it to 100 because if I did 250, I ran it all night, my computer crashed.
Yeah.
So like, that's not a lot of sims, but it's better than the one iteration that we get each year to sort of base our examples on. So, I go through in the manifesto how I do the sims and, the not gory detail, but the details there if you want to know. It's not perfect, but I think it's a whole hell of a lot better than what I originally thought, which we'll get to in just a moment. And so it sort of teaches us some basic things about like what the best outcomes are related to the teams that are being drafted and how they perform in different sort of iterations of how the playoffs can go. Hockey is an incredibly random sport. We're going to talk about the playoff race going down to the wire. And there are a handful of teams that, if they make the playoffs, could legitimately win the cup. I don't know if that's the case in the NBA right now. I'm not sure that was the case with the NFL this year, like just trying to think through the playoff contests. Baseball, the Dodgers exist. There's kind of a Dodgers equivalent in Colorado, but like, I don't know, feels like Colorado is, not quite as separated. So it's a very interesting sort of game theory and like when do you draft and everything like that. There are so many questions that I have not addressed in the manifesto. Just don't have the time or the bandwidth or the ability really to answer some of these questions. But some of the very basics that I laid out from last year almost perfectly transfer over to this year's new data set. So this is looking at the link that you're going to click on there is looking at 2 years ago now, saying, okay, this data we have, like what would have worked basically. And then what I'm going to show here is what would have worked like last year. And it's very similar. So in any case, I do have a handful of charts. If you just want to talk like how we should draft before we start talking about, well, I guess, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about the layout of the NHL right now? Or do you want to talk about the contests, sort of like how you should be drafting?
Okay,
let's into a draft.
Yeah, let's do both. I love this. I love that you went and put so much effort in here. So I don't want to shortchange you, and I'm willing to talk puck with you all day long. So let's start with the theoretical and the stuff that you worked through and the difference between last year and this year from like the how to build teams for the contest. And then and I'll give you the floor. You click the present there, and I'll see what we could present. Then we'll talk about the lens of this year with some of those teams that can, make or break, because it is really wide open right now. I was looking at this morning. You just alluded to it there that like, man, there's 5 teams in the Eastern Conference that are on the bubble of the wild card that would all be in the Western Conference right now. They would all win the Pacific Division effectively. So there's a lot of that. And then there's talking about like the disparity between the two conferences and that sort of thing. So we'll get into let's start macro, and then we'll work to the micro, and then we'll draft together.
All right. Love it. So my screen should be up there if you throw it up.
Oh, sorry. Don't mind me, guys. I was just looking for like what won last year. I was just trying to see what won last year, and I was like, oh, there's that lineup. Yeah, I'm not going to let the people forget about the big bony champ from last year there.
Ridiculous.
Okay. Oh my goodness. What do we got here? Okay. So this is the structure stuff.
Yeah. So we're talking when you're drafting these teams, you should be thinking in stacks. Yes, the players matter, but ultimately it's the teams, because only 2 teams will meet in the Stanley Cup final. So you really want to be stacking. And this just shows what the field is doing, which is basically in the red. It's a whole lot of, uncertainty what the field should be doing. They're drafting 3s, they're drafting 4s, they're drafting 5s, 6s, 7s. Okay, what's best? So this is
Moodz, sorry. I'm going to interject like a whole bunch here because I'm going to dumb things down and ask questions and stuff for everybody. Where is this data from? You scraped it, you pulled it, whatever.
So Underdog posts the contest files from each year. So this is what was actually drafted last year. There's no amount of simulating. Everything that I'm saying lineups wise is what actually was drafted. What I'm simulating is specifically the outcomes of the contest. So like how the playoffs go, basically. 1 year Edmonton wins, the next sim Toronto wins, the next sim LA wins, so on and so on. And so in red, again, it's very spread out. And in blue is what actually wins. And we see pretty obviously that when you draft in the 6 and the 7 buckets, those tend to win more often than they're being drafted. And that compares perfectly well with last year. You look at the manifesto, I write about it, blah, blah, blah. And I was wrong about this. I thought you do a 4-4-2-2 and, you have some coverage. You have a team of 6 if you make it. Nope, terrible. Just gets obliterated. And I got obliterated 2 years ago. So that was just wrong. And so I do think people are under drafting stacks as far as like going down the board on the teams that they're already stacking.
Okay.
All right, next up, here's just a basic EV calculation rather than writing, just, hey, positive, negative. Look at that. The 6s and 7s are positive. The 5s and below 5s are negative. There are some 5s that are good. You see they're more tightly correlated stacks, like a 5-5-2. But ultimately, 6s and 7s are good. All right. Here's the sort of, yep, sure.
Can we pause just for 1 second there? When you're looking at stacks and you're looking at like the overarching, just like cumulative number, none of it is like cross positional. None of it is including a goalie. None of it is like, it's not that granular.
I did not care about that.
Okay.
I'll get into that a little bit, though it's honestly not that interesting positionally.
Sure. Okay.
There's one position note that I have, but otherwise, yeah, this is just 5 from a team, 3 from a team. If someone drafted 6 goalies from a team, I'm not filtering them out in any way. Like, obviously, that's not going to happen. But
okay.
Yeah. So the main thing I think, other than just how you draft, is ensuring that your stacks are not within the same playoff bracket. And this sort of gets to the nitty gritty, so I'm going to leave it aside for now. But do not draft teams from the same division. That's basically what this boils down to, is that no matter how you're stacking, it's almost always going to be better if you are avoiding drafting within your division. So that way you have a clear path to get 2 teams to the conference finals and ultimately to the Stanley Cup as well.
Yeah, and that's a good reminder for everybody. There's no reseeding in puck, and the way they do the new style structure is what a lot of people don't like, because it, for instance, this year the Central has so many good West Coast teams that are all just going to cannibalize one another in the very first round of the playoffs there, opposed to the old 1 through 8 top down, where they would not meet until a conference finals or something like that. So you can instantly be like Pacific plus Pacific bad. So Vegas plus Edmonton, no fly zone. Wild plus Avs, no fly zone, because they're going to meet in either the first or the second round.
Exactly. You said that perfectly. Okay, here's the position thing. And it's basically just number of goalies. Sorry, the numbers are small and whatnot, but basically do not draft more than 2 goalies. Okay. You're going to stack 3 teams, for example. Don't take 3 goalies from that mix. You're just killing a skater spot that you need. I suspect that also is somewhat correlated to the 6s and 7s. There's just less, you're less likely to pick a goalie. But it seems pretty clear that picking 3 goalies is bad, and picking more than that's even worse.
Yeah, especially with the variance in scoring in hockey. I ran good to win last year because Brad Marchand and somebody else outscore Reinhardt or something, who should have been a way better scorer, but in a small sample you can run pure like that.
Definitely. Here's positions, the number by position. The red is centers, the blue is wingers, and the green is defensemen. It seems like, 6 wingers, 2 defensemen on your team is good. I suspect, again, that's more just related to stacking. If you're stacking a 6 of a team, you're probably not getting 3 centers and 3 defensemen from that team. So, you're just more likely to take wingers as you stack. But ultimately, there's a huge sample size of teams, and, you see that they sim a good bit better when you sort of stick to those general guardrails. I'm not married to this, though. I think a team could make sense with 1 defenseman. It could make sense with 3, and certainly could make sense with 5 wingers, 4 wingers even.
I think that's a really good point, because the archetype of defenseman that we're dealing with nowadays are like hybrid do everything guys, you know? Like it's like dudes who are playing like 30 plus minutes in playoff games for multiple games, like Quinn Hughes, Cal McCarr, like these kind of archetypes where they're like they're PP1, man. They're out there for 28 minutes as a floor. Like they're doing so much that it's like, why am I tacking on Wallman in my Oilers stack here when I can have like Evan Bouchard who's going to play like 26 minutes and all the PP1 minutes.
It's funny you say that. Unrelated, but the Best Puck Classic transitioned to the same scoring format this year as the Zamboni, where there's 2 flexes, which helps sort of make the positional balance more even. And one of my teams that advanced to the finals, I have 2 teams in the final, and one of them is a Bouchard and Wallman defense team where I have 4 defensemen. I don't even know what I was really doing.
That's sick.
But it just,
I respect that.
Yeah, just so the team's dead because it doesn't have Macklin or McKinnon. But in any case, that was
the Macklin stuff's hilarious because he kind of underperformed in the semis, and it was Lil Jizzy was my guy, man. Jack Hughes was the guy you needed to push you through, and now Macklin's cooking again in the finals here. Got to that 100-point plateau.
Yes, he sure did. I've been made well aware of that time and time again. I had to bury the hatchet with my anti-Macklin take sometime around January. Like it just became too much. Clearly awesome. Anyway, that was the main stuff I had. I put this in the newsletter last year. The best drafters, and last year's or 2 years ago winner, Count MC. He also led the Sims, which was pretty crazy. Wow. We see him again here. This is all just the good drafters. I'm not on this list. I had another bad portfolio. I think I had too much Toronto, if I had to guess. But I haven't dug into the Sims or whatever to figure that out. But B Humley, I know he's in the community. I've met him, so I like Kitties. And then Count MC guy. I recognize a lot of these names. So here you go. You are smart if you are on this list. Moodz confirmed.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I see the sock muffin up there.
Yeah.
The Pepper Prince. I didn't even know the Pepper Prince was in the hockey streets there. Yeah, this is great.
So
Canucks in there too. Yeah, right on.
All right, now let's actually talk about who to draft. I'm not sure if you have something up, but I just wanted to share hockeystats.com is a really they're sort of new on the scene. So there's many spots you can go. But what I like about them is they put the market odds out there as well as their own odds. So like, some models are like better than others. Like a lot of people use Money Puck, and I look at them and I go like, these, I don't agree with this at all. So let's look at market odds is sort of what I think. And they have a nice overlay that sort of shows you exactly what you could bet on, which of course, I trust more than a single model. So should I zoom this? Do you have something up you wanted to share?
I got this for you. I got it. I'll zoom it like crazy for you.
All right.
Here we go. Okay, cool.
Is that good?
I got you. I flipped it out. I took over for a second. I just took the same site and I took over because I had Money Puck ready, and then I was like, okay, I'll get this going here.
Got it. Yeah, and I like some things about Money Puck. I have a long-standing beef with some of their model stuff, but I like their expected goals, and so you pick up stuff as you spend all your fucking waking days in this space, like I do. So anyway, so the bracket's very interesting. Again, the Pacific Central is kind of solved. Utah is almost certainly going to cross over to the Pacific. And that means Anaheim, Edmonton, Vegas, and Utah. You really just shouldn't take 2 of those teams. Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota are absolutely locked into the central bracket. So do not take, any of those teams. And then we just have kind of 5 teams, maybe 6 if you include St. Louis, that are all terrible, fighting for the last spot to get, cannonballed by Colorado. And if somehow they survive that series from some stroke of God to get cannonballed by Dallas and Minnesota, like you just shouldn't be drafting there. So I don't know if you have any Pacific takes, but like it feels very straightforward in the West.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you there. I think like Anaheim's kind of like the fun, sexy one that people want to click on just because we like the names from like a fantasy standpoint. But like whether they can win a series or whatever, they might be a year away from being a year away. Still, like LA kind of jumps out where they give people fits and Kemper can get hot, and you got the addition of Panarin and Kopitar's last year, like narrative based, but like I don't see it. I don't see it. It's just, you never say never, because like I always cite the year that the President Trophy winning Tampa Bay team, they looked like they were a full-fledged dynasty, going to win 3 cups in a row kind of vibe, and they get knocked off in 4 straight by the Blue Jackets there. So that's kind of the thing that always lives rent-free in my head. But yeah, in a vacuum, like I mean, maybe the peg, because like Hellebuck can steal you a couple games, and we thought they were going to be way better than this if they stayed healthy early in the year. But like they're so far away from what are they? They're 2 back in the win column.
Yeah, they're a good week away from really being in the discussion, and good weeks have been hard to come by for those guys.
Right.
So I don't know. Like they're there for sure. The Kings have a game in hand and the Sharks have 2 in hand on them. So like even if you're just looking at Nashville, like you're just right now you are so likely to just burn a spot drafting any of those teams. And then like it's the old Dinkmeyer thing. What do you win when you win? You win a matchup with Colorado. Like there's just no reason, in my opinion. Like I love the LA Kings. They're my team. Brant Clark is my homie. Like I think they're a really good team. They just don't have it. If they can somehow catch Utah, then I'll take the Kings against Anaheim all day. But they're 6 points back with the game in hand on Utah. So it's like, I just can't do that until a couple days before the contest closes, really, is what I'm thinking, if I want to go after any of these middle of the pack West teams.
They just they just blew 2 really good opportunities for themselves too, because they played Utah twice, and I was watching the end of the game on Sunday night. They were up 1 with like 4 minutes left, and then they lose in overtime. Or maybe it was in the inverse of that, and they forced overtime, something like that. And then they got their doors blown off on Saturday night versus Utah. So they had 2 opportunities with the head-to-head there. So I think that ship might have sailed. The nicest thing I could say is they have 2 versus the Canucks left. So I know that as a what to do with those tickets night.
Yes, and that is why they have the best playoff odds also of this mix, is they have a very easy schedule down the stretch as well. So the one thing to watch for, I think, is if they catch Utah, because then the path through the Pacific is open. If they don't, I don't see them getting past Colorado and Dallas, Minnesota. So we'll see. I think we'll talk about the top end teams later. Because they're more who do we draft players wise. The East is an absolute tire fire as far as the playoff like circuit goes, because unlike sneaking into the wild card, in the West, there's a chance that if you sneak in the wild card in the East, you play the Buffalo Sabres. And like I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan, like I grew up with them, and I love the Sabres, but they are a very flawed hockey team. Like they are riding percentages out the wazoo right now. Their goaltenders are, hotter than the sun. And they've also gone through a little bit of a lull the last week and a half themselves right now. It's just a very different ballgame when it comes to like pathing your way to the Stanley Cup final. Where yes, if you beat Buffalo, you then have to beat Tampa or Montreal, for example, or you have to play Carolina, which then gets you, if you beat Carolina, who loves to get goalied, you have to beat, one of Islanders, Pittsburgh, or Columbus. Like it's just a very different story as far as the edge here is magnificent. Like if you catch the team that sneaks into the wild card spot that no one's drafting, you have a wide open path, in my opinion. You're still a dog, but it's worth it, I think.
It kind of sounds eerily similar to last year there, where everybody was kind of, before it even started, was writing off the fact that Washington was a fake wagon. You know what I mean? Like everyone last year was like, okay, yeah, man, this Cinderella Ovi run and whatever, but like everything on paper suggests that like this team could get beat by anybody right now. in the Eastern Conference. And I think we're dealing with something similar with the Sabres right now, where it's like, if you're going to build out like the quote unquote strongest, you're going to play the year over year analytics darling of the Hurricanes, or you're going to play the year over year perennial studs of the Lightning. And those are your two that you build out first in the East, opposed to building out the Sabres. And then the Sabres become the team that, people are like, hey man, we got to be a little bit down on them because they could get knocked off by whoever gets in kind of vibe.
Yeah. The Lightning are one of I think they're the East favorite, and for good reason, but they are 2 points back of the Sabres with the game in hand. So like, it is very much a toss up. Tampa is one of those teams that, they don't really care about seeding. They just want to get in. Their bugaboo has been Florida the last couple of years. They're not making it. So, I think Tampa is just trying to get healthy. Like, they're without Victor Hedman right now for personal reasons. Not sure what the deal is there, but like, they are very much they're much more likely to sort of coast their way to the finish, which is why I think the Sabres could ultimately get that 1 seed. And Tampa's not afraid of Montreal. Like, yeah, Montreal's a really good team, but like, I don't think Tampa's sitting there going, yeah, we need to play Kucherov, if he's hurting, if, guys are banged up in the last couple of games. I'm more than comfortable saying that they'll likely sit to rest up for the playoffs. So, is there any of these wildcard teams that you are into? Which I should mention, the wildcard also includes Pittsburgh and Columbus, because like, they are not salted away the way that Montreal is. And so the Islanders have multiple paths into the 2 and 3 seed, for example. So like I said, it's a fire, it's a tire fire. But like, there's a lot of interesting wrinkles here. If you like any of these teams.
Yeah. I don't think the Flyers are it. I think the Wings would probably be the team that jumps out to me. I don't love it though, but of like so to put some actuals to it, like these are the odds and whatnot, to put like where they're actually at the standings there, as you cite Pittsburgh there, like they have 92 points, this 94 from Boston, obviously not the same division, so they can't vault one another there, but there's definitely room for them to run in the wrong direction there. Like, and that's why you're seeing the implied odds as such. I think the Wings would maybe be like the one team I give a stamp of approval for. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that like Ottawa was like tied with the Canucks for the worst record in all of hockey, and then they've just been surging since. Obviously they've gotten a bit healthier since then, and like Ullmark's like a guy who can get hot and steal you a series, and Brady Tkachuk brings like a little bit of that nails aspect at the front end there. I don't know. I think the Flyers are a year away, but they probably are kind of fun on paper. I think the Wings are just like, they feel like Carolina light to me, like in that mold where it's like, they're not a hard team to play against, but they can beat you in different ways and they can outscore you.
Yeah, Detroit has faltered down the stretch. The problem I have with Detroit is like, I just think they're run by a clown. The guy looks at Ben Trott and says, "Oh, you know what we need? A guy to make Ben Trott better." And they go get Justin Falk and make them the shutdown pair. Like Seider and Edvinsson were absolutely crushing those minutes. And, since the Falk trade, they changed what they do and they've been terrible. And yes, Larkin was hurt. Like, there's been injuries. Like, they played a game, I think, without Larkin, Kopp, and Comfer. Like, their center depth was completely depleted. But like, it just seems inexcusable to sort of go into a playoff series with those two guys, Trot and Falk specifically, as like a relied upon D pair. So like, that's a clear weakness, I think. Ottawa's interesting. They would have been more interesting if Thomas Chabot didn't break his arm thanks to JT Miller. I'm not sure how long the timetable there is for him. Like, if they sneak in, if he's back for, the first round, second round, I'm not sure, but it's not good. Jake Sanderson should be back this week though. So some of the, chatter there around their D-core gets shored up considerably because Sanderson's awesome.
Yeah. He's got an ADP of 71 right now. He's like D-man 25 or something. So he's free if you want to like consider just like that backstack Ottawa stuff. Let me merge two combos for a half second here. When we see the data of how important it is to stack 6s and 7s, and then we talk about, these kind of like fringe play-in teams, the leverage introduced by like 6-man stacking a team that has like all like 60 plus ADPs, which is effectively what we're talking about right now with some of these wild cards. Like, does that intrigue you more or less based on the data that you've seen? Or do you still want to be like a 4-4-2 guy, like, you know, with those teams?
Yeah, that is something that I do want to look at. Like I sort of, what I'm envisioning is sort of cutting my sims to look at, hey, let's look at the 50 sims where, you know, the most favored teams win and the 50 where they don't, and just sort of see what pops up if like the graphs look different that I was just showing. I don't have that handy right now, though. I didn't have time last year to do it either. So like, I don't know. And this is truly just me guessing, which in the past has not been good for this contest. But I do suspect that like you don't need to be as perfect in the finals, which of course is where all the money is. Like it's, you know, that's why the stacking is so important. It's because if you make the finals, you want to have your chance at the big money. I would think that because they're solo owned, you're more likely to, you know, be fine with a 4 of a Western team that makes it and a 3 of the East team that makes it. And you're not just getting, you know, blocked and then your competition has 4 more players than you do to sort of mix and match to outscore you.
Right.
Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just don't know to what extent that we should be sort of factoring that in. So my guess is that each, like, yes, there could be a Cinderella on Cinderella final, but my guess is that we should probably be limiting it to just one, you know, Cinderella-ish team, and then for your favorite, for your first round pick, for your second round pick, 6 stack around that from the other conference. Like that just makes sense, and you know, structurally. But like if we get to the day before the contest closes, like I don't think you're crazy for taking, you know, 2 wildcard teams and a 6-6 and just, you know, rolling the dice, because if either one of those teams makes it, you still have a chance at winning, just given the way that this plays out.
Yeah, it's also an interesting dynamic when we bridge like actual how we're going to get to the finals in a fantasy contest versus like who's going to make the finals in a hockey lens, right? Because it's like 4 games of McKinnon plus Natchez could be worth more than 7 games of Kopitar plus Panarin anyways. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the hardest part of simulating this. Like I spent more time on that than anything else last year. It's that like you don't, because we see it all the time. Oh, McDavid got knocked out in round 2, but he scored 100 underdog points. Like every team with McDavid advanced. And it's like, yeah, that obviously could happen. And like you just can't go, oh well, this team won, so therefore like their players are good. You could have a situation where Carolina gives up 5 goals in a series and they advance in a sweep, and it's like their guys are worthless because they won 2-1 every game. Like that stuff is really hard to control for, and it's what makes it so interesting. I think just from a problem solving standpoint, it's like very hard to build a team that is completely dead. Like I think in round 9, you can build your team and still finish it like in a positive way, no matter what happens. Like if you get sniped, whatever, like, because there's just so many options for you.
It's interesting because we talk about it in the basketball stuff, how it's like we have a Jokic problem where it's like if Jokic plays a 7-game series against anybody, like it's probably curtains for everybody else at the big position. And then it's like, how do you then make a profitable team around that to then push other teams through? In baseball and hockey in particular, where it's like the upsets are more plentiful because you can win in different ways. You can win with good pitching, you can win with good goaltending, you can win with some shutdown shit. You can, guy gets hurt, guy gets cold, guy gets whatever, or you can just flat out have a track meet and outscore one another back and forth. It's so interesting to think of the dynamics where it's like, even if we go seven games with like Vegas, I'm trying to think of a good one, like Vegas Edmonton, and it goes 7 games or whatever, like you're probably going to need like a piece of the losing team to push through an East Coast team, right? Like it's very interesting dynamic to deal with. So yeah, I don't know, maybe we should focus on some of our like kind of like favorite pairings at the upper echelon and like teams to build around, because there's, in years past, it was very much like stay in your lane, nobody touches. Okay, he's staked a claim on that stack and whatever. And there was basically only 2 teams that people fought over. This year, I would say there's probably at least 3, and they're mainly I find it to be Colorado, Tampa Bay are like the 2 that like it's hard to get like the GM pairings. Edmonton's getting like a little bit more difficult, but when we started the contest, you could get all 3 Edmonton guys paired together like pretty easily. I don't know, how are we combating the dynamics of like the actual ADP landscape?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of like, that's the part where like I have almost intentionally come into this sort of blind because one, I'm playing the daily every day, and sort of, focusing on that stuff. And my take is that I'm not sure that like these decisions matter a ton at the top because like you're just so unlikely to sort of separate yourself in round 2, in round 3, based on which guy you take. Like any one of them can go apeshit. Like if this team advances to round 2, it's not likely that, McKinnon got hurt and sucked in round 1 and all of a sudden here's Colorado, like McKinnon's going to carry you. Like it just doesn't, you go through the list and it's like every team here, their guy must be clicking if, you're going to do well later on in the contest. So it's like kind of just take what comes to you and build from there. The first decision point I think comes in with like Vasilevsky. Just looking at ADP, if you're talking about, you took Kucherov and Vasi slides to you at, pick what, 10 or 11, you probably take Vasi. Do you take Vasi without Kucherov though? It looks like that's what people are doing. I don't know what the right answer to that question is. I think I want the forwards. I think I want the, I want someone that could separate at that position because there's going to be multiple goalies that get, guaranteed workloads. Less than you might think. We saw it last year. Stuart Skinner, the Edmonton starting goalie in the Stanley Cup final, didn't play a single game in the first round. He didn't start for them, I should say.
They went they went the Pickard route and then he got hurt, right? Is that what happened?
I think so.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Everything blends together at some point, but like Carolina, we weren't sure who was going to man the net. Turned out it was Freddie Anderson the whole way. Is that the case now? Like we just don't really we don't know. Some of these teams, Pittsburgh, don't know who their starter is going to be. Ironically, Stu Skinner's now there. Buffalo, they have a rough game. What happens? Montreal, same deal. So, I mean, Minnesota, if Gustafsson gets blown up in game 1, it's very possible that, Jesper Wallstedt takes the net and, runs with it. So, like the goaltending situation is preposterously complicated. Like it feels like we are, certifiably gambling on drafting the Zamboni, which is why I think the $10 price point, $10K to first, it just sort of incentivizes you to sort of take what you can get as far as studs and then just go a little crazy at toward the end. Jeremy Swayman's locked in for Boston. Sorokin's locked in for the Islanders. Like it or not, Olmark's almost certainly locked in for Ottawa. He's been their problem this year, but guess what? If they make it, he's probably no longer their problem. I think Philly and Detroit, Gibson and Vladar, very clearly their starters. So, I mean, Jack Greaves for Columbus, also same exact story. Like if they make it, he's probably the guy who catapults them there, given the way trends are going. And that's just the East. We're not even talking about the West at this point. So, yeah, my sort of not in a lobby take is like, let's get a stud West team and then, clean up a lower end Eastern team after that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that from a macro standpoint. I was also just thinking through like goalies that can steal series right now and like who are having like really good years. Like obviously Vasilevsky's in that conversation, but it's like Sorokin, Swayman, Wedgwood, I don't know, Logan Thompson. Can Logan Thompson steal you a series or something if they get in?
Like, is Wedgwood even the game 1 starter for them?
Right. I have no idea. Right.
I'm
thinking about like guys that are
sold there.
free,
Yeah. yeah, like it's
He could be
it's
the
very
best pick in
much
the contest or the worst pick in the contest. Who knows?
yeah. And even if they are starters, if they lose the series, I think I have it up because I have to go through and get the actual goalie stats because Underdog didn't share the stats with their upload for whatever reason.
So you had to match it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had to go through and like calculate, who advanced and everything like that. Based on the Sims. Like I had to say, okay, well, add by default, like who advanced just to make sure everything was in order before I started this iterating the Sims on top of that. I got the correct winner and things like that. Anyway, who is it? Like, let's see. Where is it? Connor Hellebuck in round 1 last year. They played 7 games. Winnipeg won. He scored 22 points. Just an example. Vasilevsky, his team lost. He scored 22 points, I think, in a 5-game series. Darcy Kemper's team lost. He scored 53. Like, how are you supposed to know what goalie's going to do anything? So I guess that again, it's just like, don't, and yeah, if Vasilevsky makes it to the cup final, you're going to need to have Vasilevsky probably.
Right. Yeah.
But there's cases where you don't. So I don't know.
Is it a point of leverage to just be like the guy who always punts goalie and then takes like, maybe not always is a poor choice of words by me, but like in these kind of like net scenarios where it's like we could see some shifting around. Like I think about Minnesota is probably the best example. Like I'm thinking strong teams with changing netminders to just be the guy who takes the contrarian one the majority of the time. Like, do you think there's some leverage in that in the contest, or is that too high variance?
Yeah, I mean, I do, and that's because the skaters are so good at the top. Like we are, and you're mentioning these defensemen, and like I think a lot of them are somewhat free, and like there are ways to build very, very strong teams that like you don't need a huge goalie score to advance, and so I'm not sure where the fall off is. I know in Best Buck Classic it felt like around like the 5th or 6th round is sort of where that occurred. I'm guessing it's maybe a little earlier now because there's fewer teams, but again, all the good players tend to be on playoff teams, so it could be around that mark too, where it's just like, am I going to take, like you said, Philip Gustafson, or am I going to take Cole Caulfield?
Right.
To me, it feels like I want Cole Caulfield.
Right. Yeah. But give me the guy who's going to score 50.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy. 47 tucks, and you're going to tell me that I'm going to take maybe a 70-30 net split guy? Like, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I mean, GA giving some Minnesota Wild context there that, like, Gustafson won a overtime game against Dallas 2 years ago, and then they went right back to Flower the next night. Like, or I guess staggered day off, but next game.
Yep. So yeah, no goalie safe.
Yeah.
Good show. See you guys.
Yeah. Is there any we've kind of just talked about like the archetype of landscape and stuff, and we've always had like a little bit of a winger scarcity thing in this contest. Is there anything like any teams or any positional designations or anything like that when you're drafting feels like, hey, this is thinner than we're accustomed to, or hey, if I'm stacking Carolina, they only have centers, or if I'm stacking Colorado, they only have, wings or whatever. Like, I guess that would be the inverse would be.
Edmonton is, the main offender here because McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard. It's like, yeah, Zach Hyman, RNH, they're fine, but like odds are if Edmonton's, really going off, it's through McDavid and Draisaitl.
Right.
And Bouchard, obviously. I would argue that, Darnell Nurse and Jake Wallman are almost as likely to be useful in like a playoff setting as like an RNH. And so like you're just sort of getting like there's very few wings. The extra flex helps that so that I'm not that concerned about it. Okay. Like, if it's very easy to get McDavid Draisaitl, so like that isn't really a thought of mine. but like I'm not forcing in, Vasily Podkolzin because of the wing position. It's just more of like, hey, does it fit in my stack? And like, the whole 6 stacks that we talked about being better. But Edmonton is like Edmonton's always the exception because McDavid is literally a walking exception.
Right.
But Carolina, if you miss on Aho, I think qualifies. Jordan Stahl is very tough. Otherwise, they have a lot of good wingers. Let's see. Stankoven plays center for them, and he's a winger on Underdog, which just, standard stuff. But I don't think anywhere else is really complicated.
You should be getting drafted a little bit more than this. If you have Aho going at an 11 ADP and Stankoven's not getting drafted, ooh, I'm starting to find my little levers to pull here. There's no reason you can't have four bingos in a playoff series.
Yeah, I am. It's really hard to be into the Carolina experience because like when they're playing well, it's just like it's bad for everyone almost. Like I love when Carolina makes the the second round because there's 2 game slates and it's like, hey, just stack the other game like crazy and take a goalie from the Carolina game. There you go. You did it. Like, it just kind of feels like that's what they want to do. And if they're not doing what they want to do, they're probably not lasting long in the playoffs anyway. So like that's the only downside there, I think. But I'm not sure if there's any other teams that are like, obviously you gotta, do this or that with them.
Okay, cool.
So
feels like a good time to start drafting.
Cool. Let's do it.
Is there anything else like macro? I guess the one last thing that we could do would just kind of be like, and people would care more from your perspective than mine. It's just kind of like, who would you hypothetically, if you're building out a big portfolio, I don't even know if you're going to build one or not, but like what teams would you kind of be like, you said kind of spread at the top, but who jumps out to you as like, hey man, these guys are wagon or these guys could make a run, or I would want to be overweight, X team, X pairing, whatever.
I think I'm just a Dallas guy.
Okay.
Like Colorado is completely terrifying right now. Like my main problem with Colorado was their power play sucked all year,
which is crazy to think.
It's just so obvious.
Crazy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you watch them and it's like, yeah, Nate McKinnon, don't do that. Like, just stop. And they got Nazem Kadri, and he stopped. He stopped taking bullshit shots from 60 feet out and hitting the goalie with them. And they reoriented their power play. Now Nachos is taking those shots, and he's got a wicked one-timer. McKinnon's sort of doing the bull rush from the corner, the Mark Stone, but on crack, and it just makes so much more sense, like how their power play functions. And now it's clicking, and so it's like, yeah, like are you really gonna beat them? But then I look at these ADPs, and it's like, well, there's 3 Colorado guys going in the top 8, and then you look at Dallas, and it's like Mikko Rantanen, you can get him with J-Rob easily.
Right.
Like, oh, okay. Like I don't like their odds in the playoff series of Colorado, but like I think they're better odds than saying, oh well, I have a McKinnon and I'm going against Nachos and Makar and trying to sort of work through those down the lineup combinatorics in a way that like gives you a clear path. I think the path for Dallas is so clear, and arguably so for Minnesota, but I'm just less high on them because mainly because I think Joel Eriksson acts a little bit weaker. And so you sort of lose out on a position versus Dallas. It's like, as long as Rupe Hintz is healthy, you've got, Hintz, J-Rod, Wyatt, Rantanen to sort of mix and then Heiskanen and Harley. Like you can get 10 different teams that are 5-man Dallas stacks, 6-man Dallas stacks, and not have a duplicate lineup. So that's, I think, going to be my strongest team. We'll see what happens as the boards move. I'm going to draft closer to contest lock, especially now that the Sims are good to go. I didn't really want to do anything before that. But I do want to get more than the 30 something I had last year. I burnt out pretty quickly. last year on it, but I think this year will be good to go. I've had a bit better of a month of March than last year's month of March. So
Help the bankroll a little bit. I like it.
exactly.
Let's talk about this as we draft, but like I want to kind of get a gauge for you for like the how far is too far with like some of the scrolls and like some of the plays and whatnot. We'll hop in the Zamboni right now. Like, oh wow, snap, Phil. People are waiting. Love to see it. 2 out of 6 in the first round, 1 out of 8 in that second round, 1 out of 5. So obviously considerably easier to advance out of that first round than the second round in particular there. But like hit the reset for everybody here. The positional designation stuff that we keep referring to there is that extra flex position that gets added here, where we used to have to stack like all the wingers in all the world, but now it's a flex position. So you can kind of diversify, which makes the Edmonton stuff more palatable because you can put both the centers together when they fall to you and play one in the flex. Yeah, and then still have a flex available to you kind of thing. But yeah, how far was like too far with some of the scroll stuff? Because, you know, weird stuff happens in the playoffs, but also minutes and line cutting gets like way more prominent. So the upper echelon defensemen tend to play more, like the checking line gets cut down to, you know, not favorable opportunities and more of just like the PK and grinder lockdown stuff. So they don't score as many fantasy points in that regard. So like, do you try and just stay tethered to like the first 2 lines, or do you try and get unique in your Dallas stack and go all the way down to a Sagan or something like that? Here, we got to make the pick first here. Is this going to be a McDavid and try and set up the Edmonton stuff, or is it going to be the Robertson and set up the Dallas stuff?
I think you take McDavid when you can.
Okay.
You know, Vegas, they fired their coach. I mean, that was
sports, babies in. Get it.
Like, it's just one of those things where I've not been high on Vegas for pretty much since like Christmas. It just felt like something was off there, and then they can't score, and maybe they just start magically scoring and all my, you know, takes go for naught, but it doesn't really feel like they figured it out in the way that I think Edmonton has. Okay. Like, I think Edmonton has a really good blue line. Yes, Darnell Nurse, you know, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think you can push him down the lineup now with Connor Murphy there and like Wallman Murphy. And they're not going to do this, but they could. And that's what matters. And the goaltending questions for Vegas. Dude. Yeah. The goaltending questions for Vegas and Edmonton are kind of equal. And so with all that said, I think you just take McDavid. He's better. And then they get a very good matchup in round 2 versus Dallas having to go through Colorado. It just, you know, makes less sense, I think.
Cool. Yeah. And hopefully we get that Edmonton Dallas series for the 27,000th year in a row there. Are you a fan of the divisional bracket stuff?
I don't mind it. I wish there was a play-in the way the NBA has it. Because these final couple weeks and all the tanking and stuff just bothers me. And I don't think tanking in the sense of a draft pick, you know, there's ways to solve for that too. But just like Utah should not be incentivized to Minnesota should not be incentivized to lose so that they, you know, get passed by Utah to avoid like their matchups. And so if you had a more rigorous system of like incentivizing teams, okay, if you're here, what do we got? We got Draisaitl. I think you just take
we got the Dries.
You could try to push it. I don't really see a reason to, though, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, even if we do, it's like, what do you win when you win? You try and do the Tampa Bay stuff and fight somebody else for Tampa. We don't want to do Dallas because they'll meet in the second round. I think we kind of stay in our lane here and just take 2 of the best players on earth. Are we concerned at all that like Dries isn't back in time?
That to me feels like the incentives question that I'm complaining about. It's like, it's hard to know because they're so disincentivized to do anything. It's just make the playoffs. Here's your matchup. Go on. Versus, oh, well, if you're the 6th team in the division or in the conference, you get to go to the playoffs. If they're the 7th team, you have the play-in game. You know, all this sort of where each iterative spot matters. It just doesn't really matter right now. It's, oh, you're the 2-3. Okay, you could be the 1. Does that matter? Not really. So I'm not concerned about it. I think I have a feeling we would know if you were done but also there's no reason for me to feel confident in that. This is the NHL. We don't know anything because they don't tell us anything because they think we're stupid.
So I guess the conventional pick here is just to take Evan Bouchard and keep going, or we could, take Aho for a third center and start out that side of the bracket. What do you like?
I think I just want to go Bouchard. I think let's just not get cute with it. I would be interested in what if Dahlin comes back to us, what those Sabres teams look like without Tage. I have a feeling they're not great. But obviously we've lost, we're not going to take Makar more than likely. And out east, there's kind of, I don't know, like Darren Radish. Well, we've already missed Tampa. But otherwise, like a lot of the stud defensemen are attached to the sort of lower end teams. So there's like a natural symmetry there. If you're taking Bouchard and Edmonton, that you're just going to wind up with one of those guys versus selling out for Dahlin.
Right. We could do it.
Let's see. Let's.
We do a little Sabres magic here, and then do it without Tage. I mean, Cole Caulfield's already gone, so we can't do that. Yep. We can't do Colorado or Dallas. Tampa's done.
Yeah, I mean, screw it. Like the Sabres, we're gonna party like it's 2010.
Let's get it.
2011, the last time they made it. I was in the building for the last Sabres home playoff game.
Oh wow,
and I was in high school. Very, very, very core memory of mine watching Chris Butler lay on the fucking goal crease while Ville Leno scores. Just good times. All right.
Dominic Hasek era.
So Edmonton and Buffalo, we need to think about goalies. There's a possibility that Ingram just takes the job and runs with it. That's what I think happens. What is Ingram's ADP here? Do we need to worry about him?
Probably not. Goalie 12. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
I mean, we don't need to worry about him. And if he gets sniped, okay.
Do we just stick with Tuck then?
Yeah, Tuck's good. I like Jack Quinn later. He's one of those guys where if he gets hot, he's gonna score for you, and if he sucks, he's gonna suck. He's a nice, not last guy in, but last late guy in. And then you compare him with like a Jason Zucker, his line mate, Ryan McLeod, if you want to go center. But also getting Tuck sort of assures that we have a good winger, even if we don't get Zach Hyman.
How's the Norris year? I know he was hurt earlier, but is he back now? Good.
Yeah, for now. We'll see.
Yeah.
Like he's been a little disappointing in a fantasy sense. The shot volume just isn't really there. But the power play there is pretty good.
Hyman season's logical. Lyon, unless you like UPL more.
I think UPL is their number one, but it's so hard to know. I would almost rather not take a Sabres goalie.
Okay.
Just trying to think through. I don't think anyone's fighting us for RNH, so we can certainly go there. Down the lineup, like Roslovic, Podkolzin, or we could go another defenseman. Well, no, we've taken Dahlin. I don't know. Let's see.
Kadri's ADP is a little bit hidden. Good play by Eggers there. You're getting PP1 on Colorado there. We were talking about Eastern Conference defensemen that we're kind of where can we get some ceiling? Lane Hudson's definitely a standout there.
Yeah, that's especially if Carrier misses significant time. My worry is that in a playoff setting, Hudson sort of gets relegated to a 15-minute a night role.
Sure.
Which with the power play would be still fine. But he's the exact sort of guy, if he's not getting you hits, he's not blocking much, he doesn't shoot. So he's fine, but not someone I'm like prioritizing. Like Dobson, I think is just as good, even if you're stacking up power play 1 guys. All right. I like getting RNH here. I don't feel compelled to, rush after any of these other players.
Okay. Is this instantly just like a 2-team build with 2 tendies?
It's feeling that way. If you wanted to get creative and, try to take I think someone from the East would make the most sense. But like, there's a very good chance that Pasternak plays the Sabres in round 1.
True. Yeah.
But it's not, I guess it's not that likely because I think
Islanders maybe. Islanders would play Buffalo. That'd be a tough series for Buffalo to draw there, just to get Sorokin in the first round. Just be like, oh my God, now my Buffalo stacks, they're going to score less and they're going to have to deal with like Sorokin stealing a couple games.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd rather play Islanders or Pittsburgh or Columbus. Like, everyone loves Columbus, and I'm just so the opposite of sold on that team. Like, I think Pittsburgh is legitimately good.
Yeah, Columbus is free right now. And there's so many teams that you can just like skip ADP and just start building like 6x6 teams.
You can. It's really crazy.
Like, that's what I'm gonna start doing. Like, doing like a Pittsburgh, like Crosby doesn't go to 45. Like, do Pittsburgh first and then do like it actually works better to do West first and then do East tack on.
Yep.
Yeah, thoughts here. Another Buffalo piece or one of the goalies?
Yeah, I think
Stone, Zucker, Benson.
I think Zucker.
Come on.
And then Star Quinn.
Yeah, you like
and
Quinn.
That would get us 3-1 goalie, and then we grab a center, whether that's Norris or McLeod. Doesn't really matter to me.
Yep.
I think McLeod is slightly better, but you're still just hoping for, a 2-3 goal series versus anything like, they're gonna, go crazy. I think now we just take the goalies because I'm not that worried about losing out on any forwards. And then we just sort of pick through the scraps of what's remaining.
Yeah, it's kind of a good reminder that like you can kill your own stacks by not staking claim on a goalie, but you don't kill your own stacks by taking forward 7 instead of forward 8 or whatever. Like, so staking claim on goalies is like usually the 1-0-1 way of not ending up with a dead lineup.
Yeah, I agree with that. Looks like Lyon went, so UPL was still there, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're good on UPL. His ADP is like considerably lower.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't really think it matters. I don't even know how I would go about testing if that's good or bad, honestly. I will say, like, I've thought about it because, like, I look through and Stu Skinner scored 0 points in round 1 last year. He scored 40 in round 2, 67 in round 3. So, like,
that's crazy.
And by the way,
so I mean, and it would be Tristan Jarry in this case now. So it's like you do big BC boy, you do like that. Yeah, but it'd be pretty funny to build Edmonton plus Pittsburgh and then put Jarry and Skinner on a team. That'd be pretty funny.
I think it's bad to take 2 goalies from the same team because, like, it's like the definition of not drafting like you're right.
Sure, yeah.
But like I do understand it in some cases where it's like, if this team makes the finals, that's all we need. We don't need, the Sabres goalie or whatever. But I think this is better. I definitely want to get Quinn, and then that last spot would be a. Am I counting?
Maybe we don't
counting wrong.
Yeah, so we got 3 Buffalo right now and a Buffalo tendy. So like we probably actually want Buffalo center if it's
Yeah.
available.
Okay. Yeah. We already have our 6 Edmonton. I
Yeah.
forgot about RNH. So
Do
yeah,
you like
that's
who do you like between Norris, McLeod, and Krebs?
boy. Krebs is really interesting with Tage, I think. But
Okay.
because we have Quinn, let's just go McLeod. Or because we're taking Quinn Zucker, let's go McLeod, and then I guess we don't have Quinn yet, but I think we can get Jack Quinn.
Yeah. Is that a better pick than 6th Edmonton?
Where we already have our 6 Edmonton. We have the full power play 1 plus goalie.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Goalies.
So
okay.
you could go 7. Again, I showed the stats that 7 is like, actually good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with that given what I saw. I think Jack Quinn, though, is legitimately the best of the bunch here as far as the tertiary players we have remaining.
Okay.
I don't think we need a defenseman.
Quinn just went. We talked about him too much.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a little annoying because that's like, whatever. All right, screw it. Let's go a 7th Edmonton player.
Okay.
The board's open.
I don't think we need to go 3rd defenseman, but we do have the flex spot for it. How do you say this guy's name? He scored the other night, right?
Matt Savoy. I mean, that's perfect for a Sabres Edmonton. He and McLeod are traded for one another.
Oh, okay. There you go. There's our tie-in. Here's our stack. But I think we want winger, right?
I think so. We only need to score one of them. So in theory, it's not that big of a deal, but it's just so likely that Draisaitl and McDavid are like locking you into not using your center pick, that taking a winger is just obviously the best call.
This party capping in for the Nez lookalike.
I'm not aware of the lore there, but that is very funny.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to take a look at my my sheet here to see if there's any Edmonton guys that should be obvious.
Yeah, and third goalie's bad.
You know what? I think Darnell Nurse or Wallman might be a better option.
Wallman's name's come up like 5 times. Let's just take Wallman, dude. He's going to be a little bit of shutdown. He's got a fucking cannon. Like,
all right.
What if he just
like this team is very obviously quote unquote weak at wing, but like we just need one score there, and yeah, like that's I think a very fine way to go about it.
All right, there it is. First one in the books there, 3-4-3-2. McDavid Dries, which is kind of like the chalky Edmonton start, obviously. And then we scroll on the Buffalo side because we don't get Tage Thompson. We take McLeod and Tuck and Zucker, Rasmus Dahlin there, and UPL in the pipes. And then we go with Hyman, the Nuge, Evan Bouchard, and Jake Wallman. And then you go Connor Ingram in between the pipes for Edmonton. Kind of contrarian, scrolly, Tendy room there. Don't really know who's gonna definitively win the net for Buffalo, so we go the opposite angle of everybody else drafting there, and we kind of have the chalk Edmonton build, but you make it contrarian with Wallman, and then you make the Buffalo one contrarian with no Tage, and you add like Zucker and McLeod to it. So kind of a fun build of like 2 teams that are getting drafted at 100% frequency, but not often paired in this way.
Yeah. This is certainly like you want to have some of these teams in your portfolio, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly more fun, I think, to go grab, Horvat, Schaefer, Barzal, and just sort of, go crazy there with Sorokin, obviously. But maybe not with a Edmonton specifically, just given the positional allocations. So I don't know. It's a very intriguing puzzle. Lots and lots of options available to us. This year's been awesome I think from a fantasy standpoint, it's been awesome. We have guys coming out of the woodwork, like becoming true, elite dominant players. Darren Radish, like Cutter Gauthier, like,
Yeah.
just different walks of life entirely. People coming, I mean, Matthew Schaefer, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
and let's see, who didn't even get drafted here? Like, let's just take a look through that.
Yeah. You got one more in you, Moodz? You want to do one more?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Okay.
Cutter didn't even get drafted. I mean,
Right.
Dylan Gunther. You're talking two Moodz dudes facing off in round 1 right there. Like, if you told me, hey, Mood, I'm going to have 100% of Cutter and Gunther, like, let's just, 50% of each and never taking them together. I'm saying, hell yeah, dude. Like, you could have the number 1 wing in the first round, like, easily.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of like the basketball thesis of like, whoa, shit, Steph Curry's still here in the last round. Like, like, what do we do with this?
Okay.
Like, the Warriors could take a series and Steph's the high scoring guard or like whatever, there's other guys like that. There's like the Atlanta play-in guys and like that sort of deal where it's like, man, you have these big fantasy assets, but like they don't fit structurally with like what everybody else is doing. I think it's a lot of fun to just not wave ADP and just be like, man, 2 of these low owned teams, you go Montreal and the Ducks, and nobody's gonna put that together. Or let's rip one more. I think that people are in on this right now. I want to get the volume up a little bit here. Yeah, one more spot. All the fun is over. If my Hoopers are still listening, Joel Embiid has been downgraded again, and now he's officially out. So there goes all the fun there. And yes, Captain Sharks did not actually snipe us. He was building out the Buffalo stuff. We're aware. We're just still mad about it.
Cool. I mean, I talk to DJ way more than anyone on this planet should, and he gets so mad when he's drafting and someone snipes him. And it's like, dude, people are allowed to click the names at the top of the queue sometimes, but my God, you would think they're personally out to get them every time.
Nice. Okay.
The 101.
Yeah. Any, debate that we can make that isn't,
No.
The best team and the best player?
I'm the number 1 McKinnon fader. You can't fade him here in this spot with this setup, with this team around him. It just doesn't make sense.
All right. He's on the redemption tour arc after not winning gold at the Olympics there, and that image living rent-free for years. The Dylan Taves image in the crease living rent-free for years as well. That's my Colorado is just going to go get a cup notion, is they didn't get their gold medal, and now they rally around that core bonds around that notion. You get Nazem Kadri back in the fold. Let's see what happens.
Brock Nelson sitting awkwardly in the corner with his gold medal.
Nice. Yes, this is a shark-infested draft here. We are dealing with some of the best drafters on the planet, according to Moods' graphic there. Bar Down Beauty, such a good name. Dog Bowl qualifier as well last year, I believe. And then for football. And then Chris, who's just one of the best drafters on the planet. Count MC, who provides go follow him on the X machine there. What is it? Hockey Oracle
at Puck Oracle, I think.
At Puck Oracle. And I retweet the charts as frequently as I see them with all the Best Puck Classic data, and he does the week by week scoring. He posts it in both our Discord and your guys' Discord there. One of the best puck players on the site. Same could be said for I Like Kitties, who was on that chart, and then Jason Hood's been around forever as well in the puck streets. So this is a who's who of the puck community. We're gonna have to come up with a plan, Moods, because the chalk start has taken place here where we do not get one of the Colorado fallers, which means we're battling for Colorado, which means our first 2 picks should probably be Colorado. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we take the goalie.
Tage comes back too.
Tage, I don't know if I want to do another Buffalo on stream. I'm kind of feeling we go a little crazy here.
Okay, what do you like? Is this the best Colorado start available?
I think so.
All right.
You could convince me Kadri's better than Nelson, but we just don't need it with we don't need to do it with the ADP considered. I do think next round you want to get a winger. The turn team, the 6-7 team, They're probably taking one of, but probably not both, like Nichushkin, Lehkonen, Landeskog.
Sure.
But yeah, otherwise we're sort of at risk if we do miss out. If the Kucherov team, goes, okay, I want a piece of Colorado too, then we're really screwed, I think, with the start. Because I think we get Sam Malinsky or Devon Toews later, no problem. Like, I don't really care if one or two of them get sniped. I'm guessing only one of them will.
Okay.
But since we have such strong centers to start, you were talking about Detroit. I'm not incredibly high in Detroit myself, but it is very possible that they make the playoffs, and their best players are all wingers. They have Mo Seider, who is an absolute boss on defense. If they make noise in the playoffs, like, I think they fit very well with a Colorado team. So I'm thinking maybe like a 6-4-2, or we could go 6-6. We just go all in. But where we're taking, Gibson, DeBrincat, Seider, and then another one or two Detroit pieces. We mix in Colorado, as discussed. That feels like a nice synergy there.
Okay, so let's take at least one Colorado so we don't get sniped after the other guy did double. Who do you like more, Lehkonen or Landeskog, or both?
Let's see. Let's go. Let's go Lehkonen. Sure.
Okay. And then do we take the other one and end up with 5 here, or we're gonna go 4-6-2? So now we go Detroit.
Let's go Detroit right now. Let's take DeBrincat because he's sort of the linchpin here. Like, he's the best player available by far, I think.
Let's do it. Awesome.
All right. And then for Colorado later, is Ross Colton a center or a wing?
I believe he's a center. Nailed it. Yes, he's a center. ADP 70.
All right, so not super valuable to us.
Yeah, that's like 3 Colorado centers.
Yeah. All right, so if Landeskog survives, that's good. I kind of would be surprised if someone took him, but I think we take Landeskog and Seider if
love it.
If we get the opportunity.
All right, cool. Sounds good to me there. Dude, it's in the right spot here, man. I love the Underdog Fantasy Draft. We drafted every single day, 2 p.m. Eastern, and we do some puck mixed in here, but we do MLB and NBA every damn day, dude.
Good promo. Sorry to cut you off a couple times there. I'm just too busy thinking about all the fun stuff. So coming up, we could just pass on Seider for a round and take a one-off, like a true mercenary one-off.
Okay.
Because we don't know where Detroit's going to slot in, I feel better about taking someone like I guess someone from the. Do we take like
Cutter or Gunther?
Yeah, honestly, let's go. Yeah, let's go with Cutter. He should be back this weekend. The injury there is not a real concern of mine. And then we just sort of say maybe we grab another Duck if we are feeling it, but ultimately we're just saying let's get some early points.
Yeah.
Did Landeskog survive? I think he didn't. Okay.
He's gone. So I'm thinking we take Mo then, now that he's gone, just because we got to match D points with some of these teams that have upper echelon defensemen, and he's kind of like the one free square that could do that if we're doing Detroit.
Okay. Pivot on the fly then. We have Cutter and Seider locked in. Do we just say we need one more Colorado defenseman, and then we're done with Colorado? We have 5 Colorado.
Yeah.
And then we go 6 Detroit and Cutter one off.
Good. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Because
these drafts really are the epitome of ADP doesn't matter because like Cutter goes undrafted last time and now Cutter goes in the 6th round for us. Like,
Yep.
it's just like you can do whatever you want because as long as you stay in your lane and build structurally like based on like your original principles there with like, no more than 2. Like I think the rules of thumb would just be like no more than 3 teams, no more than 2 goalies. Try and not cross divisions. And then like the rest is like how granular you want to get with your player takes and who's outscoring who in the first round.
Yep, 100%. And I mean, David Pasternak's a great example of this. Boston is, I think we were showing earlier, like 80+% to make the playoffs. David Pasternak's a first round fantasy winger, no questions asked. Yet there are some teams where taking him in the 6th round is terrible.
Right.
And yeah, if you showed me a team where you took Pasta in the 2nd round, I'd be like, great pick.
Right.
Like, so like it's just so it not doesn't matter, but it's just so variable in terms of like what a good pick is.
Yeah, the contextual relevancy, right? Like how the pendulum swings of what your isolated team needs as you go.
Yep, for sure.
This is kind of fun here. Take the Malinsky windmill.
I love Sam Malinsky.
All right.
Like you watch him play and it's just like, my God, like if Cale McCarr would have disappeared to a private island, what could Sam Malinsky be? It's probably not that good, but in my head, it's like, man, the Jetsons style. All right, and then let's go the goalie.
You think it's going to be just Gibby's net 100%, right?
Yeah. At this point, I think they started him for like 14 games in a row.
Yeah. He's one of those like quote unquote safer ones at the back end. When we were talking about all those mystery net scenarios, like if Detroit does anything, it's because Gibson.
Yeah. All right. I'm very hopeful that Lucas Raymond makes it to us. Taking Malinsky might have been the wrong pick, especially if Raymond goes, but because something like Raymond, Kane, and Kopp would be sort of what I'm thinking how we close that out successfully.
Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I forgot about Kane.
I mean, shit, Larkin's also available.
Larkin's still there. Kane.
Yeah.
Something like that. Nobody's going to fight us for Detroit when you're taking like secondary Detroit options right now.
Yeah. You definitely don't need to take Andrew Kopp when Dylan Larkin's there. I just just wasn't really it makes sense. I mean, they may not make the playoffs, but if they do, that builds really, really strong.
I'm seeing some like patterns emerge here too, and maybe it's just like you shouldn't care about it and you should just try and push through what you push through. But like flipping the board with your Colorado stuff makes a lot of sense because Nelson and McKinnon are going to be paired every single time. Like I know people don't want to be the guy who gives up the combo or whatever, but like there's no reason to think that Brock Nelson can't outscore Natchez in like one series. So like just flipping those two's ADPs, like just to get a unique little lever to pull. Like Edmonton, the same 5 get built out every damn time. Like, just being the guy who takes Podkolzin instead of Nuge is like, oh, you're instantly different. Or you take Waldman instead of Nurse, or you take, 2 D-men, right?
Yeah. No argument there. That is the eternal question, I think. How far is too far? And in Best Puck Classic, in the regular stuff, it's maybe a much lesser extent, but here it's like, just take whoever you want is almost the name of the game. I think screw it. Yeah, Raymond Larkin's fine. If we lose Patty Kane, I'll survive.
Yeah, I mean, who do you prefer between the two?
I like Raymond. I think Raymond was the priority here.
Okay. Now the question is, how do we end this? Do we end with another one-off at a position that we're a little weaker at? Do we do a Colorado scroll? Do we do the Detroit super stack? Or do we do, you could do like Cutter plus Jackson Lacombe, like something like that.
I think, so right now we have a 5-5-1. I don't think I want a 5-5-2. It makes sense. The Sims showed that was the 1-5 build that was like okay.
Okay.
But I think I just want a sixth and just double down on our, hey, one of these teams makes the cup final.
Okay.
What are our Colorado options? Like, do we have anything
Taves
respectable?
probably. Taves or Burns.
Yeah, I'm just so not a Devontae's guy.
Yeah, he just doesn't score fantasy points.
He
Like he'll
just
play
skates
a
around.
lot.
Yeah. They've even been mixing in like mixing up their D pairs, so like he's not glued to Makar. So it's like, man, if that's the case, like if Brett Kulak's on that top pair, like okay, Devontae's good luck. Like
Right.
So I don't think we need a Colorado piece. Like obviously that would be ideal, but whatever. I think taking a Detroit guy is best, and I think Patrick Kane's just clearly the best of the bunch here. You could try to sell me on like a JVR to be super sneaky, but like they're already super duper fucking unique. That and JVR just because
playoff performer James Van Riemsdyk, where is he? Holy shit!
Like Corey Perry just went in this draft. Like that,
right?
They are two cut from the same cloth. Where it's like, yeah, if they get on the top power play, they could score 4 goals in a series and they'll hit people.
Yeah.
So
that's fun.
Like I saw AJ Greer got drafted once and he scored like 30 points in the final.
He got drafted one time last year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, because I was like, oh, that's cute. Because he shows up alphabetically first. And I was like, and his name's also A.J. So I had to like fix it and everything else. And I'm like, he did a what in the finals?
That's great.
So.
Kane or JVR?
Let's just go Kane.
All right.
It's showtime.
Yeah, we are contrarian enough that it's probably not necessary. So 3-5-2-2. We go with the double Colorado centers, which is the chalky side of the board, but then we get a little bit unique there by pulling up Lankinen and then Sam Malinsky alongside it. We go that Blackwood is the better of the two woods between the pipes there. And then we go full on shopping for Detroit, but we don't do it with our last 6 picks. We mix in a Cutter Gauthier push you through pick who could just get 40 tucks this year. He will get 40 tucks if he comes back this year. But then we go Detroit onslaught there with Larkin, DeBrincat, Raymond, Kane. What do we go? Sider and Gibson. So, I mean, that's how you match the scores of Makar in the Colorado stacks is you take an elite defenseman who's free at the back end, who's rarely stacked with him too. So game theory adds up a little bit as well.
Yeah. And let's see. Did someone stack Pittsburgh in this draft as well?
It looks like I like Kitties who's hanging
Crosby,
out in the chat.
Carlson, Rust. Okay.
Yeah, 4 men because he adds Reichel with it too.
5.
Oh, Skinner.
Sid. Yeah.
Keep getting thrown off with it's been half a year and I still get thrown off with the Skinner, Jari, whatever situation.
Yeah. Like it's hard to gauge ownership in a contest like this, but like Pittsburgh does feel like the team that it's very clearly obvious. Like they have all the makings of like the team that just people click on late. And so I want to be mindful if they're 75% drafted and all these other teams are in a bucket of like 30%.
Right.
I'm not sure that that's the case, but like I love Erik Karlsson. I mean, if you're not paying close attention to hockey right now, 2018 Erik Karlsson was, I think, the best hockey player I've watched play hockey. Mm-hmm. And that includes, McDavid, like he was so single-handedly transcendent from the defense position. Mm-hmm. He's like 98% of that right now.
Love it.
It is preposterous stuff from Karlsson. So like he's a guy that like it's really hard to not be excited about in a playoff setting, playing 30 minutes a night and just sort of, lugging the mail. And then, you have Sid, Gino, Rust, Raquel, you have Chinikov, like all these guys, they're positionally allocated well. They're fun. The team dominates possession. So like the shots are usually a fine for them. So they're probably the team that I'm quote unquote highest on, but I did notice they got drafted in both of these two and they're not a guarantee to make the playoffs. So it's like, is that a signal that maybe people are more into it like I am?
Right. Yeah. Like how much different is it to draft the Islanders full man when you have Sorokin that can steal you a series? You got,
Yes, exactly.
Did Schaefer go? Yeah. Schaefer goes like, like how different is that Carlson versus Schaefer kind of like bet in a series kind of deal?
Yeah. Man, that is, this contest just opened up a lot more fun, I think, in my book than I was sort of considering it like yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
Just seeing all these teams that are not really getting touched and all this, the small draft nature of it just means that there's so many options available.
Yeah, especially in the Eastern Conference. And you bring up a good point where it's like if Montreal is going to be like 85% full stacked and Pittsburgh's going to be 70% full stacked, that like just being the guy who shows up with Islanders, who shows up with Columbus, like Columbus didn't go in this one, did they? Columbus didn't go in either of them. And you said they're kind of like a darling in people's minds. Like, I don't love Columbus, but if nobody's going to draft Columbus, like I'll get in there and box, like,
Yeah. Did no one took Zach Werenski? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah. Maybe we could have just gone 5-5. I mean, I know the data didn't love it, but 5-5-1-1, and then we just tack on Werenski. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's how you match the score of Cale Makar in the first round. You get an unowned Werenski team with CBJ instead of Detroit like this.
Yeah, they're fighting for kind of the same spots. Like it's a little bit messier when you start to take like fringe teams from the same conference. It's like, okay, well, if one of them makes it, you got to be a little bit perfect there. Which makes me sort of bristle at it initially. But obviously, if it works, like if you're comfortable, burning 25% of your teams, if not more, just based on how the bracket falls, I don't think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. All right, Moodz, that was great, dude. I will share one last time in the chat for everybody, both you on the X machine and both you on the manifesto stuff. Go ahead and add in this one, the primary points, but that was most recent article. If you guys missed it, roll the tape back, check out the S words. My guy Moody put in a lot of work last night to run the simulations on last year's contest with last year's data. If you guys want to mess around with last year's data, here is the link to it on the Underdog network as well. So drop that one in there for everyone. There are all your nice resources there. We were using hockeystats.com instead of Money Puck for our percentile stuff as well. So that goes in the chat for everybody there. I Like Kitties is saying Burns is greater than Taves right now. Skinner is going to nail down that net, according to GA. Never happened ever. Av stink and GM, happy Passover to all of those who celebrate, including our guy Jewish McCaffrey, rolling on through. Moodz, any parting words for the people? Any plans for the future? Any slate breakdowns upcoming for the Puck guys?
Yeah, the Morning Skate podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We record them the night before, so if you want to hang out in a live chat, Wednesday tonight, probably 9 o'clock-ish, if I had to guess. DJ and I, we talk about every daily fantasy slate ahead of time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. DJ does a lot of betting stuff, and if you're in the Morning Skate Pod Discord, I post some bets in there too. But yeah, the Zamboni Streets, probably a newsletter with all the stuff I shared earlier, summarized and maybe dug into a little bit more sometime this weekend. And then we're gearing up for the playoffs. So it's the best time to be a hockey fan. Go Sabres. And thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Resident Puck guy, expert around here. Love our time together. Love doing these contests. And you think so deeply about the games, bro. Know so much about the puck, but then also think so deeply about the games that love having you on the program. Guys, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, all that fun stuff. Share this on the X machine if you happen to be watching there. Share this on the YouTube's machine if you happen to be watching there. We still got like 130 of us rolling strong all through this across multiple platforms. And we've been live for 2.5 hours doing 2 completely different sports. So love to see it, man. Appreciate you, Moodz. And we'll be back tomorrow. We will be doing our first football draft. I mean, we haven't even thought about football, and the big board's almost at like 90%, according to Davis's most recent thumbnail. So we're going to do a big board draft tomorrow in tandem with there's a very short slate of baseball, and there's a very short slate of NBA. So we'll cover those two first, then we will do the football draft, and then we'll probably only have maybe a members only on Friday, or maybe nothing at all pending the holidays and that sort of stuff over the upcoming weekend, and then Masters stuff next week. So we're going to have it all covered for you guys. Every sport on the platform and all those fun amendments coming to the platform that we shared at the front. Roll it back to the very beginning. There's like, if you missed it all, there's like 10 minutes of like new updates and fun stuff going on the platform. So everybody's favorite time of the show, the end. Peace. Thank you to Moodz.